Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday night. No, it's not Monday Night Raw. It's not even Monday Night Nitro. It's Monday of the Dead here on the Alpha Romero channel. Hope everybody's doing all right. Got their week started off on the right foot, hopefully. It's a short week, 4th of July coming up this week. So, doing a little weeknight stream here on a Monday night. Hope you guys are doing well. And I got a very special guest here over on, I got to figure out this way. Check out his YouTube channel. It's Synth Addict. He's got a couple of different YouTube channels for different topics. The guy's a very knowledgeable guy, very talented guy, huge Romero fan, very knowledgeable Romero fan. You probably recognize him from the chats here. But I was really excited to get him on. Met him back at Living Dead weekend for the first time, and we ended up chatting a whole lot that weekend. So definitely wanted to get him on here and have him spread his knowledge and his influence upon y'all. Check his YouTube channel out, Synth Addict. What's going on, man?
Howdy. Great to be here.
I'm glad that you were able to come on. I was supposed to do this last night, and I had to postpone it to tonight, so I appreciate your flexibility.
Yeah, no worries. With my IT background, I'm used to things failing all the time. In fact, I was just telling you before this started, I had a third camera set up, which kind of works now, but it's one of those days I'm sweating like a pig because it's hot in here. My AC's not working. Some of my cameras aren't working. It's just one of those days.
And you're out on the West Coast too, California.
Bay Area, South Bay, Sunnyvale, Mountain View area.
What's the weather like there now? Because it's miserably hot here in Indiana.
It always will be very hot here eventually, but right now it's only about 80.
That's not bad. It was actually pretty nice today here too, like the one day that it's been nice. But other than that, it's been fucking hell on earth.
But this place is a combination of bad insulation and my mobile AC unit that I use because there's no built-in AC here.
Oh, really?
It's not happy today, so I'm kind of in a sweat box. So,
well, I hope you make it. I hope you can
extra moist
power through here. That's our goal here on the channel, is to get, when I bring a guest on, get them good and moist, you know.
I passed.
Let's see. A couple folks in the chat already. Hersil saying, would love to stay in chat, but unfortunately, Alpha, you know the deal. Graveyard shift. You need to get a new fucking job, man. You need to get you a 9-to-5er so you can hang out with us when we do these streams. Andy, awesome shots and videos of your LDW adventure. Yeah, you did you were like documentarian work on that. You got Larry's full tour on that stuff. I mean, you got a lot of the panels.
Well, that's my thing. I mean, since I was a kid, and we'll get into that later, I guess. But I worked at a video store and stuff, and I just always into video and I got into filmmaking and stuff. And so I've always had some kind of a video camera since high school. And so I'm used to just recording every stupid thing in the family on trips and all that kind of stuff. And I've morphed that into travel log type stuff on, even though my channel is mostly music. I said, I'm not going to make so many channels. That's too complicated, right? So I just say, if you want to see tours, great. Sometimes they're music related, like NAMM show in LA. Sometimes there's some other music or synth event or whatever, but sometimes they're not. And so I just threw the Living Dead weekend stuff up there and just had a blast. YouTube is my VCR basically. So
I love that. That's a great motto. YouTube is my VCR.
And yes, I use VCR because I'm old school. So
hey, I mean, I think I get a feeling like VHS is starting to make somewhat of a comeback. Like I'm seeing a lot more people interested in. I'm seeing a lot more of them for sale at conventions.
There were tons at Living Dead weekend and people getting them signed and everything. So
yeah, a lot of. Been seeing a lot lately. I know Will is a VHS guy. We saw his VHS collection the other day, and he's got a shitload. Which kind of, it sucks for what you look what they go for now. And there was that period there I just got rid of most of my VHS tapes for like nothing. I was just like, I put them in a garbage bag and just handed them off to the Goodwill. And now I look back, I'm like, fuck, that thing's going for crazy fucking money right now.
Well, back in the mid '80s when I worked at the video store, it was $100 at least for a movie. You couldn't get it any cheaper. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's insane. And we're talking about $100 in the mid '80s.
Yeah,
like. So that was when $100 was $100.
Can I get a copy of Spider Baby? I'm like, you sure you want to pay $100 for Spider Baby? He's a diehard fan.
Let's see, where were we? So yeah, good for you to stop by, Hearst. I appreciate it. I hope you have a
Thanks,
productive and enjoyable time tonight in your graveyard shift, sir. Stukas Dive, what's up, man? Howdy, friends. Mr. Matt Landrum, of course, in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you as always. And that music, by the way, I know this has been kind of a running theme throughout the week. The opening countdown music or whatnot. Matt's been able to nail it every single week. But the piece of music I used today was actually Synth Addict over here.
It's one of mine.
I thought it was pretty fucking cool, so doing in there. But good to see you, man.
Slightly different version on my Bandcamp. I can talk about that later if you want. But if people want to actually download it and stuff, it's on Bandcamp.
Absolutely. Sean, what's up, man? Sean Skowski, Scarred God. What is your avatar there? Is that can't quite tell. Merciful Fate. Okay, right on. But good to see you, sir. Cressy777, what's up? I promise you, one of these days I'm gonna watch the video dead, and I'm gonna do a review of it here just for you. I just gotta fucking track it down and find time to actually watch it.
Comment on that, not to throw any shade on it or whatever, but I'm not to spoil anything, but I was not a fan of it. I know it's an old-timey classic, kind of super low budget movie.
Mm-hmm.
I did finally watch it a couple years ago just because it was always floating around, and it didn't really do it for me. It was very funny, silly kind of stuff, but that works. Yeah. It works for Return of the Living Dead, so it's not that it doesn't work. It wasn't my personal taste. So
yeah, but a good like I said last week when I was doing the non-Romero horror films, like a good horror comedy's got to be the perfect blend of both. You got to have horror and you got to have comedy that's actually funny. It's definitely tough to pull off, but I'm down to check it out because I have heard from other people that it's actually it's actually surprisingly pretty entertaining. So, yeah. Let's see. Sean says people are getting VHS tapes graded and encapsulated. Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot lately too, and just some of the numbers that like people are buying that for. Like, there's like the sealed Texas Chainsaw, I think, is going for outrageous money right now, like the original ones, like tons. Matt says I didn't recognize it, but good shit. There you go. Now you know. I just did that this week just to stump you this week, Matt, because I was 0 for 2. So
I'm glad I could contribute to that. So.
Let's see. Okay, early question: was Franco Harris on the set of Dawn of the Dead, 1978? Yes, he was.
I think I saw pictures of that. Right? Pictures of him on the set?
Yeah, there's I've seen a few pictures of it. There's one in particular of him and Richard Rubenstein, just kind of hanging out. It looks like in catering or something, maybe. But I think I put that on my Instagram actually a couple of years ago because I was just like, what a cool, like, two people that you would never, put in the same photo ever, Richard Rubenstein and Franco Harris, and here they are.
If you look at the mural in that one hallway in Monroeville Mall, it has Mr. Rogers, and it has Franco Harris, and it has a zombie at the very end.
Yeah.
So they're on the same mural.
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, they're both, it's all Pittsburgh icons. Franco Harris, Mr. Rogers, and an airport zombie. Mr. Paul Musser. All right. As I did with Larry on his first appearance here on the channel, we're going to play a game of 10 questions. And whatever pops in your head, you can go into as much detail as you want or elaborate as much or as little as you want. Just some simple questions to kind of introduce you to folks. Okay. Number 1, favorite Romero film?
As the years go by, that does get a little bit harder because you start to get into stuff more. Like when I went to see Day of the Dead with a friend, and we had only discovered Dawn of the Dead in the early 80s, just around video rental time in high school. And so I didn't get to see the theaters and all kind of stuff. And it was instantly a fan. Basically one of my favorite movies of all time for sure. Went to see Day of the Dead, was like, I mean, the gore's great, but it's very talky. I mean, I'm a high school kid, right? So I'm like, it wasn't. Although I watched some talky movies that were good, I just didn't expect that in my horror so much. So I eventually, over time, Day of the Dead is going way up in my list. It's still not my favorite, but it's getting up there. I would say basically the top 2 for now. I do like Martin a lot, but consistently I'd say Dawn of the Dead and then Creepshow.
Okay.
But day is creeping up there because
I hear that a lot. Yeah,
it
you hear
grows
that
on
more and
you,
more. Yeah, it really does.
The score is cool. This zombie masterpiece from Tom Savini.
Mm-hmm.
And it also launched so many careers. The optic nerve guys, the
KMB.
K&B. My brain's fried. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's so hot in here. I'm just like melting. But yeah, and a bunch of other guys. It just came out all that stuff. It's crazy. I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had the same experience with Day of the Dead. The first time I saw it, I was just like, yeah, it's gore is good, but like you said, and I was like you, like kind of early teenager at the time, and was expecting Dawn of the Dead Part 2. Like I think most people were. Okay.
Dawn's like the movie I've seen the most ever. I think probably at least 300 times.
Oh yeah, I mean that at least. One time I tried to go back and like calculate. Like each year, like guesstimating, like how many times would I have watched it this year? Because there were certain years that I just literally watched it on repeat, like in my mid-teen years, like when I first was just becoming fucking obsessed with it. Then there were those lull years in my early 20s when I was out, when I was too busy out, poonhounding and drinking and doing the wild shit. Sure. And then it picks back up. So I tried to calculate how many times, and it was in the hundreds. But after a while, I was just like, fucking.
I had a VHS tape that I made a copy of because I couldn't afford to buy it back then. Because again, they were $100 for a movie, and I basically wore the tape out.
Oh yeah, I had it on multiple tapes, like recorded from different. Like I rented once the U.S. cut. I rented it and just dubbed it on a different tape using 2 VCRs. And the very first copy that I actually owned and watched over and over again was the director's cut that they showed on IFC in the early 2000s.
Okay, yeah.
I recorded it off that.
Cuts, when I was, it took forever to show. Even the Argento cut took forever to show up anywhere. I never saw it till.
Yeah, it was years before I saw it.
Black box set. When I got the box set.
Yeah, the Ultimate Edition from Anchor Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw it. And it was like watching it for the first time all over again. It was just like all these new scenes and shit. And you're just like, what?
And he took a lot of the humor out. He took a lot of the drama out. I'm like, he just wanted to make it an action movie.
Pretty much, yeah. Just wall-to-wall goblin,
Yeah,
and I was actually having this conversation with
helicopter zombie. What the hell is that?
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that would be something but maybe I don't know. Maybe Dario or somebody just thought the effect didn't work because the top of the head's a little flat or something. I don't know, maybe, but
the only time it doesn't work is when he's falling down. You see the tubes coming out of his jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about this the other night. Have you gotten to that point where you couldn't watch Dawn without just picking apart little things? Like you couldn't watch it as a movie. You were just like watching it to like pick out shit in the corner and find,
I have to admit, I think
continuity errors.
Second or third viewing, probably my third, because I used to have my dad fortunately splurged for a VCR with frame advance and slow-mo. So I could literally analyze the shit out of movies. Whether I wanted to or not, just like, hey, what's that? What did I just see there? And I found that blue trampoline in Dawn of the Dead probably in my third viewing.
Yeah, that was like the one. Yeah, that was like the one major flub that like I remember seeing all over the internet when the internet was first thing back in the day. It was like Dawn of the Dead, grew ups, and here's the trampoline, and then once you see it, you can't not see it. That's the thing.
Also, where he spits on the windshield, gets his face splatted.
Mm-hmm.
He's down here. The truck windshield is up here. So logistically, that doesn't work, right? He's not that tall. He's not 10 feet tall. And the other thing too, you can see him spitting the blood in the window in slow mo. You can see him go. So
I think I've done that
fun.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch that. So.
Yeah, I think it took me until DVD came out so I could actually go frame by frame, but because all right, let's go to the next question here. So that's one question we took 5 minutes on. That's cool.
It's a Kevin Smith.
No, we're cool. That's No, I'm all for it. Number 2, least favorite Romero film.
So if you don't count the really, because like Amusement Park was interesting. I finally saw that like earlier this year or something like that. And Jack's wife grew on me a little bit as well.
Me too.
Season of the Witch. At first I'm like, God, do I want to like this movie? It's a Romero movie. I have to like it. Well, I don't know. And so I had it on tape. Again, I made bootlegs of everything. And I watched it several times. And then it wasn't watching several times. It was over the years.
Mm-hmm.
With age and experience and other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I eventually didn't hate that so much. And the Ray Lane guy's in there. He's fun. He's a good fun guy. So I don't hate that one as much as I used to. I really, really wanted to like Bruiser. And I'm not sure if I do.
When's the last time you saw
it? A gray area for me. But then there's this last few movies, because of I don't know, maybe Survival of the Dead's my least favorite at this point, just because I get always going for it. He's going for the Western. He's going for the Hatfields and the McCoys. He's going for, the zombies are finally learning to eat other things, and that's all some stuff he had wanted to do early on in his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just execution, I know it's low budget, like a lot of his stuff was, but it's between Dire of the Dead and Survival of the Dead.
Yeah,
a lot of things just don't work in there.
I think that's the common response. But actually, like some of the themes that he, ended up going with in Survival, like I always hear people talk about, like, oh, the zombie riding a horse, how stupid. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, probably in hindsight. But
especially
if you go
when
back,
it eats it later, it changed a little too quickly. If it's going to eat it, it would have eaten it then, right?
Yeah. Trust me, there's plenty of issues with it. There are things I like about that movie. I don't hate it. But
the use of tools and stuff, like they keep using in, like, even in Night of the Living Dead, where it picks up the club and started bashing the house and the rock and throwing it through the window. So long before that guy's speech in Dawn of the Dead, they were already doing it in Night of the Living Dead, using tools. So the horse is another tool. If it's already kind of riding it, it could kind of hold on to it, and it's a tool,
That's a way to look at it. I guess that's some way to defend it, I guess.
Well, if it didn't eat the damn horse 2 days later, then that would make more sense, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I said, going back to Romero's original Dawn script that I was able to read at the archive last year, like his original treatment, like 70-page original they wrote in the early 70s.
Yeah.
If you go back and read that, this is the original treatment version. You have that version? So it's like unfinished. It's completely different than the original.
Dawn or Day?
Dawn.
Actually, I have a version of Dawn. It's not quite the shooting script, but it's very close. But there are some other weird things in there. The Day one, of course, is way off the map.
Yeah. But the original treatment, he actually has zombies driving cars, and like there's a leader zombie, and there's zombies working jobs in the mall, like the butchers, and it's like this really, it feels more like the Omega Man more so than what Dawn of the Dead would become.
It's more like White Zombie, where they're slaves.
Pretty much. But there's the leader is like a one-eyed guy who's also a zombie, but he's like advanced, So honestly, Romero had kind of been playing with, like, that's kind of where he wanted to take the zombies to begin with, but he just ended up doing it over, the next 3 decades as opposed to just one movie. So
yeah, I don't know. As a biologist first, because my degree's in biology actually before I got into IT and all the tech stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As a biologist, the zombie thing always bothered me to a certain extent, just because as cool as it is and frightening as it is, it's just, that's why the fast zombies drive me crazy. Because unless you're infected like 20 days later, where you're not dead, you're just infected, you are not going to run faster than a living person.
Yeah,
on all cylinders. I mean, I could be a high performance athlete versus a schlub. We're both alive, and the one runs faster than me because he's just physically fit and capable. If he's dead, he's not going to run faster than that athlete. I'm sorry.
It's like what Romero always says, like all of a sudden the zombies, were track stars or something like that. And it's just like, what?
It. They're strong, they're track stars, and they're also in some ways kind of smarter. Which also doesn't make sense. I mean, the brain matter is very important. And when it's gone,
yeah,
it's,
well, see, folks,
can nitpick all to death, but
that's why we're having them on. See, we got a scientific proof that fast zombies are bullshit right there.
I always thought so. I mean, it's fun in some cases. Like Return of the Living Dead fast zombies are hilarious.
Right. I could go either way. It just depends on if the movie's good or not. Like Train to Busan, like I really like that movie. It's fast zombies, it's the whole thing, but it's a good movie. So I couldn't give a shit. As long as they're telling the story that needs to be told in an effective way, I'm fine with it.
And more importantly, it doesn't have Zack Snyder's name on it. So
exactly. And that's big number one, as George would say. All right, number 3. Best Romero film. What do you think is his best film? Maybe your favorite, but what is his best film?
think the most well, I mean, Knight Riders has a lot of heart in it, and a lot of proper acting, emotions. It's kind of his thing against the Hollywood system.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some subterfuge in there, some subversion. So it is a very well made movie, and I do like it a lot. But probably as being well made, probably Creepshow.
Okay. I've never really thought of it that way, but the fucking lighting, the cinematography, just that's a really good answer. Like I've always kind of
take on that comic book feel that everyone's ripped off by now, right?
Yeah. Okay, good answer.
So
good answer. Let's see, number 4, favorite Romero performance. Favorite performance in a Romero film.
Well, I mean, Tom Savini's fun as Blades, but I got to give it to Joe Pilato, just chewing the hell out of the scenery. In Day of the Dead.
That was Larry's answer. So Pilato is 2-0 so far on this 10 question shit.
And even in the little the cutout scenes in Dawn of the Dead, you could see. I mean, he was a proper stage actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's good in effects.
Mm-hmm.
He's good in that.
So. I wouldn't say it's like Oscar worthy or anything, but probably one of like my favorite things that he ever did was that. Have you seen that From Dusk Till Dawn trailer thing? Because when they originally were going to do From Dusk Till Dawn, they cast Joe Pilato.
Oh, I didn't know that.
To be, I think to do the Clooney role. So they did like this mock trailer, and Pilato's in it, and it's just like the most badass thing. Wow. I'll see if I can find it. Maybe I'll put it on the channel because I don't know, but
definitely.
But it's pretty badass. It's one of my favorite things Pilato ever did, and it's too bad they didn't use him. I think that would have been really, really cool. But
and
Tarantino was a huge fan of Pilato.
One of the last cons he did with the whole panel, I forget it was a Steel City con. I forgot what con it was, where he's real salty in it, and he's got the long hair.
Yeah,
and he's like a funny regular guy too.
Oh yeah.
So it'd just be cool to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, I had one opportunity to meet him back in 2008. He was at that Texas Frightmare weekend in Dallas. And I was going around meeting everybody. I mean, everybody was there. George and everybody from Night of the Living Dead, everybody from Dawn of the Dead. It was like a big reunion. But Pilato was kind of intimidating to go up to, so I never did. I was just like, because my first experience with Savini was that year, and I was already just kind of like, man, some of these people might be assholes, because Savini kind of broke my little teenage heart there.
He was nice to me when I talked to him briefly at LDW, but I understand the stories. I've seen the videos of people getting stuff signed, and he's just like,
yeah, it's hit or miss. Like I said, I ran into him in the lobby of the Doubletree one year at LDW, and he was as nice as you could be, just the coolest guy. But as soon as you go up to his table and ask him for an autograph, it's just like you don't know what the hell you're gonna get.
In between bites of food, he's like, okay, I'll sign your
thing. Yeah, you compliment him on something, he's just like, yeah, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but I don't know.
And I've seen that consistently on people's videos that they posted. So no one's talking out of school. This is kind of consistent for him. So
poor Robert Dobbins found that out this year. He was heartbroken. That's one of his heroes. All right, where were we? Were we at number 5? Most underrated Romero film, in your opinion?
Most underrated film. I mean, I'd probably say Knight Riders. It doesn't get. I saw it in the theater actually. I don't know how, because my dad wasn't a George Romero fan, but we saw it on I think it was a double bill with Cabo Blanco. God, my brain is fried today. The Death Wish guy.
Charles Bronson?
Yeah, Cabo Blanco, Charles Bronson. We saw Knight Riders on a double bill with that.
That's interesting. I don't know. I've never heard of anybody that was like, oh yeah, we went to see Knight Riders in the theater, because I don't think anybody went to see it. That's pretty cool.
My dad took us to he was pretty eclectic with a lot of stuff he took us to. Like I was telling you at one point, I saw The Shining in the drive-in. I saw The Omen in the theater when I was a kid. I was like a little kid and getting subjected to all this stuff, which is probably why I like horror so much. But so yeah, Night Riders is a random. It's like I didn't know who it was at the time. I didn't know George Romero at the time.
Right.
You know,
And it wasn't a horror film, so you wouldn't
no,
think that it was George.
but I liked the movie. I don't remember much about it, but I remember seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was cool because we had never gone to a Renaissance fair. I went years later as an older person, but I thought it was cool, and now I really dig it with the soundtrack and the drama, and
it's a great score.
I'm a fan of Patricia Tallman, and she's topless in it. So I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean you can't beat. And plus the thing is about like Night Riders, it feels like just a big Romero reunion because everybody from like that first run of Romero's career from Night to Dawn, had everybody in there. I mean Reiniger, Foray. I mean everybody had a role. Freaking Harold Wayne Jones from the Crazies was in it. Like it was just all these people that you'd seen. It was just like that was kind of one of the last times that you'd see all those guys together. I mean that was like you said, Pilato was in that for a small role.
I saw Creepshow in the theater as well when it first came out, and
that was cool.
My brother was going with his friends. He's a couple years older than I am, and I was like, "Hey, can I go? Can I go?" And I don't know George Romero then either. I just like it's a horror movie. I want to see it, and I knew the show Cheers and Ted Danson. I can't remember if he was in it just before that or just after that.
I think just after.
Just after that, yeah. So
yeah.
That's kind of a blur back then, but I know I definitely saw it when it was first run. So I ended up seeing a lot of Romero stuff in the theater and didn't know it. It was Romero, right?
And you would have been how old around this time? Early
80s? So that was, I think I was a freshman in high school when Creepshow came out.
Oh.
Maybe a sophomore, something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Crazy.
Favorite non-Romero zombie film?
I mean,
I went through my wacky ass list last week. So
yeah, it's some good ones. In fact, I wrote down a whole bunch I didn't even know about, which is hilarious. I mean, that the one with the one attacking the car window and then he gets his dick cut off or something like that. I mean,
Zombie 90 Extreme Pestilence, baby.
That's great.
It's one of the all-time greats.
I think you said you haven't seen Street Trash. It's not zombies, but you have to see Street Trash.
I gotta check that out because I love that type of shit. Just it's
the best penis keep away scene in history.
I'm gonna run this motherfucker's dick.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I didn't even know if I could put it on the list because it's like, is this a real movie? But it is a real movie. It's on IMDb. It's you know, it's insane. But
it's like a weekend movie some guys made. You know, just got together and did a thing kind of.
It's something else. You got to see it. I think it's on YouTube. So
I found it on the Usenet actually because I know it's hard.
To find
general, but I found a download for it. So, I mean, there are plenty of other ones I could say now because there's some quite good ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
And some aren't just pure zombies. Some have like supernatural elements in them, and some other like, maybe satanic or some other kind of elements to them, which are pretty good as well. Although I'm not a religious person, but I just think those movies are pretty cool. But I'd have to say Lucio Fulci's Zombie.
Okay.
It's my favorite. I mean, there are plenty of other ones very close to it at this point. I love some of the ones on your list, like City of the Walking Dead, or Nightmare City, whatever. The Hell of the Living Dead, or it used to be called Night of the Zombies. I mean, they're all wonderful, terrible in their own ways.
Yeah, there's something about. I was explaining this because Larry commented on it last week and was like, "I'm disowning you because he hates Hell of the Living Dead." But I was just like, "There's just something about Italian zombie films from that period where it's like it feels like the directors really took it seriously. Like when you hear him in interviews, like Umberto Lenzi in an interview talking about Nightmare City was like, "Oh, I kind of wanted to do what Romero was doing, but I wanted to do it seriously, and I wanted to take the situation seriously." And you're like, "What?" So
it's fun because it's like an early 28 Days Later because
it really is, yeah.
So it's a lot of action. It's a lot of fun. There's there's tons of nudity in there. It's very pulp.
Yeah.
There's some great horrible lines in it, and my favorite scene is one of my favorite scenes, other than the trapeze act, where it's like spin the gymnastics dummy in the roller coaster. Is the
and just a loud overdubbed scream the whole time, just like
the dancing scene with the guys in lab coats shooting the dancing scene. It's like, what's with the lab coat?
Is that how
right?
TV was filmed in Italy back in the day?
I guess. And it's just gratuitous, like at first I'm like, God, this movie is unbelievable, because like gratuitous, like breast cutting off scenes, and like,
Yeah,
it's like bizarre, right? They're really, really out there.
that's a good
And
word for it. It's a very bizarre movie.
yeah, and then
Which,
and then
which is
silly
it's supposed to
stuff.
be a nightmare. You know, it's supposed to be a dream. Spoiler alert, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the silly stuff, like he's in the car and he's trying to get out of there, and then they speed up the film because they couldn't shoot it fast enough.
Yeah.
and then some tough guy who's all kind of messed up jumps in front of the car and does this little knife move like this, and a car's coming at him. It's like, what are you gonna do with a knife?
slash his tires. He ain't going nowhere if he slash his tires.
It's just, and this whole thing about transfusion. They need transfusions of blood.
Yeah,
They're
they don't need
drinking
flies.
the
They
blood.
just,
That's not a transfusion.
you know,
Again, it's biology, right? Who
Yeah,
wrote the
you know.
script, right?
you tell Umberto Lindsay that, my God.
I know. I still love it. It's.
But yeah, zombie. That's.
Well, you have the shark
such a
attack,
good one.
right? You have, again, more nudity. You have the eye thing. You have some killer scenes with like really messed up old zombies kind of shambling through like this.
I love the look of the zombies in that movie.
And the Fabio
It's
Frizzi score is great. And you got Conquistadores in there, which is hilarious, you know? There's like a helmet sitting there by the grave. I'm like, that helmet wouldn't be there anymore, right? But it's cool. It looks cool, you know?
It does, and it's just a gross movie. Like I said, you can smell that movie. Just I don't know, the gore.
The poor man's version of it is Dr. Butcher MD, which I also love.
I've never seen
also
that,
a
actually.
doctor on an island doing experiments. The zombies come back. In this case, though, the zombies are a little smarter.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just, they're actually like cannibal zombies. Like they're supposed to not be dead.
Mm-hmm.
They look dead, but they're also like normal human cannibals on the island, cutting up people and pulling their eyes out and eating them. It's really graphic. So I know if people have even though it's poorly made, if you have a sensitive stomach, you probably don't want to watch Dr. Butcher MD. But I love it. It's great. So
Yeah, I've never seen that one. I know what do they call them? The main zombie. I know they had the bus that the Trick or Treat Studios, I think, did. Was it Trick or Treat?
I have to check.
What's his fucking name?
But the title's great. Dr. Butcher MD, Medical Deviant. I mean, come on. It's you had to rent it for that only. Just
yeah, great title. All right, we're halfway through here. Favorite score / soundtrack? Romero score soundtrack.
I mean, I do love the Dawn of the Dead score. As I was telling you earlier, I'm trying to make a cover of Dawn of the Living Dead track, the opening track. But I don't know. I mean, the Harrison score is good in Day of the Dead. That grew on me over time, except for like the Sputzy Sparacino stuff and all that.
that is really. It's very strange. It's very out of place.
Yeah. It's very 80s, but very cheesy 80s.
So, holding you.
Exactly, yeah. And I actually got that soundtrack through Fangoria before the movie came out. So I hadn't even heard it, and I bought the album, right?
On vinyl?
Yeah, I have the original vinyl, yeah. So it was weird. So I had heard the score before I went to see the movie. But
I bet that was very confusing.
It was interesting to see how they kind of threw it in there. But
you're like, is there a zombie love scene in this, or what's going on?
But I think I still have to give it to Creepshow because the variety of music. There is a lot of library music in there, but the John Harrison music as well. It's just very well done for each skit.
Yeah,
it fits perfectly. Niche.
No, that's a good one. I mean, I don't feel like you can go wrong with either one of John Harrison's scores for Creepshow or Day of the Dead. I mean, even the Creepshow 2 soundtrack has grown on me over just the main theme that and I think that works really well.
But when I hear the Dawn score, I think of Dawn of the Dead, which is again such an amazing movie. But
yeah,
just score for score, and because the way the Dawn score, as you talked about before on the show, it's only a piece of the Goblin score in the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
You hear like basically 5 tracks the whole time.
Yeah,
and,
about
roughly. And
yeah, about 5 or 6.
If you get the 20th anniversary edition, there's a whole bunch of extras they threw in there of like variations and remixes and stuff. And
oh, really?
We can get to it later. I actually did an analysis, and I figured out how he built the opening stinger in the in the
Oh yeah, that opening theatrical. There's like
the 4 tracks, and they're
Yeah.
on the 20th anniversary edition, as well as the one that was called Cosmogony #2. Or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
That's the bed, and then a bunch of this shit was thrown on top of that from the 20th anniversary edition, before it was the 20th anniversary edition.
right.
It was like
Yeah, I know what
cutscene
you're talking
drops.
about. Yeah, that 20th anniversary. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, so I love all that stuff a lot, but overall score, just a blind hearing, because not everyone's into prog rock and stuff, you know.
Right.
I would say creep show.
It's such a weird, such an like not American sounding score for a movie that I think it was probably part of the charm of the movie when people first saw it, because I still kind of got that vibe seeing it in theaters. And like I said, when I go to the theater to see Dawn of the Dead, which they've been playing it here recently,
I still haven't seen it. I got to see it some damn theater one of these days.
they've done it 3 years in a row now. I'm
I
wondering
know.
if they're going to do it a 4th year for some reason. I mean, there's a whole backstory about how that's getting distributed and how that's working out with the guy in charge of it is Leaf Junker, I think is his name. How you pronounce his name? And I would be curious to know what his relationship with Rubenstein is and how he's, how he got involved in all this. So, but anyway,
it's all Regal Cinemas. My closest Regal is like 30 miles away, so it's definitely worth a drive. But I never heard it was here. I'd have to be searching for it,
Yeah, I mean, because at the theaters, I mean, there weren't posters up or anything. At the ones that I went to here locally, I mean, you just have to know about it, or you fucking wouldn't know, unless you were, following them on, the theater on Facebook or something.
And sadly, the Facebook group for Living Dead Weekend, I only found out about, I don't know, maybe November last year or something like that. So, I'm living under a rock, so.
Well, all those fan pages on Facebook most of them are run by Larry, so they're Larry's shit. So
no, it's great stuff.
Okay, favorite scores, group show. Okay, Team Ben or Team Harry? Who was right?
Well, ultimately, Harry was right, but not because he was right, because it just worked out that way. I think you do fight your way with the chance to run if shit hits the fan, literally, right? You do want an escape route, because they didn't know how good that door was. I mean, it looked pretty damn sturdy.
Mm-hmm. And it ended up working out in the end.
The house got set on fire somehow.
Mm-hmm.
What if one of those zombies went by the truck on fire and actually went by the house? I didn't see that, but if it had happened to wander over to the house and caught the house on fire, and they're surrounded by flaming zombies and no way to get out, that's pretty stupid, right? So, you do want a chance to get out.
There's no perfect plan.
And upstairs, you can defend because you have the high ground, you have a staircase.
Right.
So they can never overpower you upstairs when you create a barricade, and you can keep pushing them over the edge. And you can always jump out of the top floor and get out that way if you have to.
It's true.
So I like Ben's idea a lot. That was a lot of damn work to nail that place together.
And it made a lot of noise, which probably attracted more zombies. So,
but at the same time, because he was upstairs, he found the TV.
Mm-hmm.
He found a bunch of other stuff they needed, and So I don't know. Obviously the problem with downstairs though, if the militia hadn't come through and cleared out, there's no food down there. You would have been down there for days starving. Right? No water, no food. You can't live more than like 3-4 days without water. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have an extreme, your kidneys are amazing or something. But it's just, you are going to piss out all of your water and you are going to dehydrate. You are going to die.
You think maybe the right move would have just been
do what she did in the remake? That's the right move.
Yeah, I guess.
Because there weren't that many of them, to be honest.
Yeah, at first.
There never were that many. Even the original night, there weren't that many around the place. And because they're Romero zombies, as long as you keep your wits about you and you don't trip and do something stupid and twist your ankle or fall down a ravine or something like that.
But do you think that kind of, so let's say that the characters did kind of figure that out, that they could just walk right by them, that's something that always kind of bothered me about the remake. Was that, even if that is the right thing to do, and now we're just nerding out about this shit, but that even though that is kind of the right thing to do, would that be realistic that somebody in that situation? I mean, they were all pretty much out of their minds. You know, Barbara was catatonic, and Harry was losing his mind, worried about his daughter, and they couldn't just walk by the zombies with the injured daughter. That was a big part of the reason why they kind of limited their options. Ben was kind of cool-headed. He's pretty much the most cool-headed one. But if that was really happening in real life, the dead were coming back to life and coming after you, like, you wouldn't be thinking that straight, to where Barbara, who had just watched her brother die, hours before, has suddenly just accepted the world as it is. And, I don't know. I like Romero's use of, like, the internal struggle that the characters are going through as a,
because it's all situational. Nobody knows who's right until it's too late.
Right.
So I mean, that's why no one had the right answer up front. You found out later who was right, but things could have taken a turn for the worse. I mean, there were obviously, it was a remote farmhouse, so you're not going to have random vehicles driving into the house. But what if someone else is trying to escape some zombies and crash into the house and again started the house on fire? Weaken the structure, and now the structure collapses, you can't get out, and now you are going to starve and die of thirst because they have no supplies there.
Yeah, I think probably the best course of action would be to just kind of agree with each other and just say, let's try to defend up here, and then as a last resort we go back downstairs. Which is what Ben ended up doing.
It's too bad. Go find some place with supplies, because you will, at one point, you will need supplies before you get too weak to use them. That's like the whole thing. These movies are great because they make you into preppers, right?
So they make you paranoid, and
water. I need weapons. I need a defensible position.
Have you ever read that book, Zombie Survival Guide?
Excellent. And World War Z is a great book. The movie stinks.
Yeah.
The book is great.
Yeah, I picked up both of those at the same time. I read them back to back when it was years ago, right when they were, first coming out.
I knew they're going to screw that movie up. It's too complicated. It would cost too much money. So they went for the cheap way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make particle effect zombies that just attack like a wave. What is this? Is crap. They literally
it didn't appeal to me.
Over that wall in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that? So
it didn't appeal to me, but
no.
Let me check the comments here real quick. Got a bunch here. I'm gonna try to catch up on as many as I can here real quick. See what you guys are saying about some of these, because like I said, me and Synth are just kind of nerding out right now, so interested to see what you guys say.
That's great.
Stuka says favorites. Dawn saw it for the first time in '99, 5th grade, and like January, scared me terribly, but loved it. That's probably right around the same year I first saw it, 98, 99, something like that. Dawn and Day, my two favorite, all-time love them both, says Cressy 777. Anchor Base said is awesome, says Sean. All right, Matt. Good to see you, man. Got to get up 4:30 a.m. Have to catch the rest tomorrow later, dudes. Have a good night, my man. Have a good day at work tomorrow. Hopefully you're enjoying a short week. I saw you got your supplies already, Matt, for your 4th of July blow some shit up celebration. So, Rob Lucas, what's up, man? Good to see you. The military scenes in the beginning of Dawn gave me nightmares for years, especially the bite in the hallway and the headshot. Robert Harbitz II, what's up, my man? 1990 is my favorite dead movie ever, even though he didn't direct it. I see that a lot now. I actually see people, a lot of people nowadays saying they like the 1990 better than the original, which I don't agree with, but I see it more and more. I think it's just that generation, because like this was the 1990 was the first Romero / zombie film that I ever saw.
And what they tried to do is colorize. You ever see the colorized Night of the Living Dead?
Mm-hmm.
Try and get that young audience, and it's like, well,
it looks like shit.
A little cartoony. So
yeah, it looks like shit.
Yeah.
It looks like they just fucking crayoned it in.
So for people who hate black and white, I can see why they like the 91.
Let's see. Nathan Caldwell, what's up, man? 1990 is good. Yeah, I'm kind of in that. I'm in that. Like, I like 1990 quite a bit, but I don't think it holds a candle to the original. But
no.
There is a lot I like. But the score to 1990 is one of the big problems for me. It's a little hokey in parts. Favorite performance, Dr. Frankenstein. That's one that doesn't get talked about enough. But yeah, Richard Liberty is Dr. Logan. That's
since you brought up the
a
score,
fun one.
You score for Night 90. It's like he's firing off all these classic presets. I mean, a lot of the gear I have behind me, I go, okay, he used that preset for that track and that preset for that track.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a cookie cutter track, cookie cutter soundtrack. I don't really dig the soundtrack. So
yeah, there's like a couple of pieces of music on there that I think work okay, but for the most part, and it's Paul McCullough who did it, who was. Pretty much just at that point really worked on Russo and Heinzman shit. So this was kind of his first, if I'm not mistaken, his first big. I believe he did. I think so. Yeah. I have to double check that, but I know he was working on that in some capacity. Cressy says, in Dawn of the Dead remake, I saw zombies running like Olympic sprinters, and that is a zombie movie killer in my opinion. So yeah. I mean, that's always the big thing. I mean, George was never a fan. He actually used to sell shirts that said, zombies don't run or something like that. So
because the movies feel real, even though they can't possibly ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn feels real, right? As soon as they start running like sprinters or worse, it's not real anymore. It's ridiculous, right? So it pulls the reality out of the movie. So.
Well, I think they went, because like I said, 20 Days Later kind of laid the groundwork for that, and I think every zombie movie after that kind of copied that in one way or the other. Even if they were slow zombies, they still made the pterodactyl sound, as I call it. Every zombie movie after that had the zombies had to go when they come at you, and it's like.
But they also, I think they saw Return of the Living Dead. Say, see, they had fast zombies. I'm like, but it's a comedy and it's a different thing altogether.
Yeah,
I mean, a skeleton with real eyeballs. Opening his mouth with no muscles. It's a funny movie, right? Yeah. It's not real.
Yeah. It's for me, Return is just it's its own thing. It's a different thing. Like, I don't even think of them as like, what running zombies would become, And
like when Trash gets zombified and her mouth suddenly can open like a giant snake.
She turns into a fucking shark or something. It's just like, thanks for the love, Night 90, Nathan. Says Robert, it's the first zombie movie I ever saw when I was young. Me too, on HBO, so it means a lot to me, that movie. Yeah, I mean, me too. I have all kinds of night stuff. I actually have the key, the pump key thing that Matt Landrum made for me. He made a bunch of these and sent them out and sent one to me. I got all kinds of night stuff. I got the night video store poster over here framed up. Like, it means a lot to me because, like I said, that was my first experience with any of this shit. And but as a movie, watching it now, it's like,
yeah, I mean,
it does. It's a great cast.
That Ben is really good.
Oh, Tony Todd's fantastic.
Yeah, Tony's amazing, and that Patricia Tallman's great in it, and the guy with the baseball cap.
William Butler.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, William Butler's good.
He doesn't
Tom Towles,
like the original guy does.
Yeah. Good old Keith Wayne.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he talks about that in the commentary too. He just drives him insane. That commentary they did for the Laserdisc in '94. I think
Judy character and that is really bad.
Yeah, which
man,
like to me, like Night 90. When I think of Night 90 now, the first thing that comes into my mind is incessant screaming and constant hammering. Because it's so much of that in that movie that it's just like, after a while, it's just like, ugh.
It's almost like when she turns, is this him? And shoots him in the back. Is this him? Like, because she's so annoyed with her screaming in general.
Judy Rose Larson.
Yeah.
I like how they just expanded her name on. Let's see. Sean says zombie. Robert says zombies one of the best movies, best zombie movie. 100%. Here you go, Cressy's Night 90 versus Video Dead. That is a good question. I guess you would say Night 90. I haven't seen Video Dead yet, so I can't say.
Yeah, no question. Night 90 over
that one. Here we go. Stu This Dive is bringing up a movie. Have you seen the movie The Battery? Or Battery? I think it's just called Battery. Or maybe The Battery. I'm not sure.
I heard of that one.
You ever heard? That's one that Grande over on his channel, Grande's Graveyard. Speaking of representing Grande tonight. Oh. T-shirt. Sent me a couple of T-shirts. There you go. But everybody check out Grande's channel, Grande's Graveyard on YouTube. He's really good at what he does. He loves movies. He's one of those. He's a YouTuber that loves film and knows his shit, like knows a
Yeah, he's
lot
funny.
about every different genre, and he can talk and rant, and like so much of YouTube now is just guys holding up like Blu-rays and saying, "Look what I got." And it's like they don't think about it. They're just like, "Hey, it's got a pretty box." But if you love movies and you love talking movies and hearing somebody passionately talk about movies, check out Grande's channel. But this is a movie that he puts over a lot. Like he really loves. It's either called The Battery or Battery. I can't remember. But it's a zombie film, like a recent zombie film that he says is. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay. I think so. But yeah, that would be first time watching stream. I don't think I would do that. I don't like watching something for the first time on a stream. It's hard for me to pay attention and really. Yeah. Because if I were watching it, I would just literally just be sitting here quietly the entire time. Because I'm one of those people that like I don't like when I watch a movie with somebody, like don't talk. Like let's watch it and then we'll talk afterwards. But
before I forget, did you take advantage of that Night Riders special price double album?
No, I already picked that up when it first came out. Okay. Yeah, but I did
have, so I picked it up. It's pretty cool.
I did get that. I saw Larry post today on Facebook. He put the Tom Savini documentary "Smoke and Mirrors" on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
That was on sale from oldies.com or something like that for $2.99.
Wow.
I could pass that up. I just literally just bought that in Blu-ray at Living Dead weekend for like $20. But I said, what the hell? Yeah. $2.99. I'll buy another one and just sell the other one and get my money back. But yeah, I don't know if they still have any available or not. But it's a really good documentary.
I
don't know if you've seen
Shudder for a while, right? I saw it once or twice on Shudder, but
yeah, I saw it when it first came out, and then I tried to watch it again here recently, but they'd already taken it off, so I don't even think it's available on there anymore. See, Rob Lucas says 1990 may be the best. I wish they'd left the gore in it. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, those outtakes are great with the gore. Yeah.
There is a work print version of 1990 that's floating out there that I may or may not be in possession of, and may or may not make an appearance on the channel here sooner than later. But yes, people talking about the battery. The battery was real fun, says Sean. Yeah, I got to check it out. I've heard nothing but good things. But from the people that have seen it, they've all had high praise for it. So,
with your zombie list that you had, I noticed there were a bunch of foreign ones you didn't have in there. Did you ever see Junk? That was kind of a fun one. The Japanese
Junk?
movie?
I don't think so. No.
Check that out.
I'm not big on Japanese horror.
I'm not either, but there's some decent ones. But
there are some, absolutely.
Imagine the movie Life Force, where there's a nude alien walking around for a good part of the movie that you like to look at. In this case, she's a zombie, and that's Junk. So check that out.
Junk. I will. I'll look at it.
It's not a great movie, but it's fun.
Okay, Sean says I have a work print version of 990 with the extra gore, so he's got it already. Jimmy G, what's up? Good to see you in here, man. Good evening, gentlemen. Haven't seen Jimmy in a little bit. Rob says, no, that's awesome. Where can you watch the work print? It's decent quality, or they had blurry scenes. It's the version I have is, it looks like it's a VHS dub of something, and it's got a different score on it. It's actually Tangerine Dream. I think they use Tangerine Dream throughout it, and it's
Do you know which Tangerine Dream score?
I think it's just a collab, because it's just a rough work print version, so they just kind of threw a bunch of shit on there until they got Paul McCullough's. But it's like 10 times better than McCullough's stuff, and it really adds a lot to the movie. And the movie's
I'm a Tangerine Dream fan going way back, so
I imagine so. But yeah, I'll definitely check out. I think to me it's a much better, and it does add just a little bit here and there. It's not a drastically changed version. Like, it does have the gore and stuff in it, more blood, headshots and stuff. But
is there less Judy Rose Lee?
Unfortunately not, no. If anything, there may be a little bit more.
Oh, no.
But not too much more. Like I said, it's pretty much the same cut, but with just a different score, and it's pretty cool. So Robert said he'd love to see that work print. Work print's crappy quality, says Sean. Yeah, it's not the best. He said he got it on bootleg DVD 30 years. It's one of those things that I've heard that if you ask Tom Savini about it at a convention, he'll pull it out like a DVR, like a DVD-R or whatever, and then give it to you. Of just like, here's the version, here's the good version.
I should have asked him because I bought his book with all the storyboards in it. It's a cool little book.
Yeah, the version you never seen or something like that. I've never looked at that, but I've always wanted to pick it up.
It's cool. I mean, you're into filmmaking, so I think you'll really appreciate it. A lot of people might go, "Oh, it's just a storyboard book," but that's the movie, you know.
Yeah. Because he talks about like a lot of the stuff that he wanted to do, but just didn't have the time. Exactly. Just more like character based stuff.
George said this is like we have 20 days to shoot this, and this is a 40-day shooting script or something like that.
Yeah. God, 20 days.
Yeah, whatever it was. It's maybe 25 or something.
It sounds about right. I mean, they didn't have long at all. Here we go. Jimmy G says, Judith O'Day said she believed her character would have reacted realistically having witnessing the apocalypse. Yeah, I agree with her. I think that it's just human. Like, I would probably be in a fucking catatonic state if the shit hit the fan that way. I'd be in a catatonic. I was almost in a catatonic state for fucking 9/11. So can you imagine that times a billion? You know, like the whole country was just like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to process what I'm looking at. Now imagine if your dead relative comes back to life and is trying to kill you.
Well, case in point, look how badly we reacted with the pandemic.
Exactly.
Now imagine this is the undead. Forget about it. It's
oh yeah.
It'd be almost like The Road. You ever see The Road?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's so depressing.
Pretty much, yeah. See, Robert says in real life what Barbara said, they're so slow we can walk right by them, but what if she walks into a horde of 1,000 of them? Then what? Yeah, I mean, that's true.
That's one thing Walking Dead did very well, the swarms. We have literally thousands of them, and it's like you can't get around them.
Yeah, I've only seen the first season of Walking Dead.
When they get into the swarms that are,
but the scene where they surround the car and he has to, I remember that was like one of the first couple episodes, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
Sean, how about the horrible extended Night of the Living Dead with the added scenes and new score? So horrid, but worth owning. Have you seen that version, the 30th anniversary edition that
John with Heinzman with a lot more weight, trying to be the cemetery zombie?
And that one.
That super annoying preacher. Oh god.
Yeah, that one.
I didn't know it was going to be there. I thought it was just a high quality print, and a couple extras on the disc, and I forgot it was an extended version. And I go, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
I think that was a lot of people's reaction when they first saw it, because they thought it was just like a 30th anniversary edition, you know. Then they pop it in. It's got this whole other fucking scene. Open it up, but just like terrible acting. Like I went back and watched it not long ago, and the acting is like bad.
I mean, when I was in high school, a guy came to, I don't know, I saw the flyer for it somehow, but I was a junior in high school, and a guy came to talk to the drama group at some classroom, but he mentioned something about tech and camera work and video. I was like, no way. And I'm the only one out of like 60 people in the room or something like that who actually went to De Anza College to check out the program. Ended up being the only high school student there with a bunch of adults every Friday night shooting scenes and learning how to edit and all this kind of like 3/4-inch U-matic video and stuff. It was awesome. It was super great learning. I did makeup on one of the things. I did cameraman. I did a bunch of stuff. But it's just the acting there was really bad because it's just people like housewives wanting to learn how to act.
Right,
but
yeah.
It's okay because they're having fun. They're not in a professional movie trying to be this horrible preacher who can't act out of a bag. You know, it's just...
Yeah, there's definitely levels to it. I mean, when I used to make my own movies and shit in high school, like I wanted to be a filmmaker, all that good stuff. And I just get, friends, and I try to get, I would just like make them say as little as possible. Like that was my go-to. I was just like, we're not going to have a whole lot of lines. It's just going to be promoting, and I'm just... And I'm sure I had my Kubrick moments where I would like make my cousin do 100 takes of something just because I'd be so fucking pissed because he just wasn't hitting it. And I'm just like, dude, because you're family, you talk to each other that way. So, but yeah. When, God, come on, guys.
Since you brought that up, I have to ask: have you ever put that stuff online?
Yes, but it's no longer online.
Oh
my! Because it was on this channel, and the channel that I'm doing now was pretty much just using as just bullshit that I wanted to throw up and just have so I could watch it. So when I tried to restructure into this Alpha Romero channel, I put it on private, but maybe I'll do something with it at some point. I'll send you a link to it because it's private, but I'll send you a link to it and you can check it out.
I have some horrible Super 8 films I made in high school at the same college, and they're terrible, but it was fun. So
yeah, I mean that's you figure out really quick, you know, what how hard it is to make a movie in general, and just how much money and time and cooperation that it takes. Because it's not like, oh, I want to learn how to draw or I want to learn how to paint, where you just sit down and do it. You got to be like, oh, I want to make a movie. Well, let me call my friend. Let me call family, relatives. Can I borrow this? Can I shoot here? Can I do this? It's just like a fucking never. I mean, George always talks about it.
I made an action shoot 'em up, and I made a slasher movie. And the guy said, your stuff is really well put together, but it's too violent, so I got a B. I'm like, God damn it. Come on.
Oh, that's how I passed a lot of my art and drama classes and shit in high school, was I would just make movies. And there was a movie I did, it had like rape and drug use and all this other stuff. And they were just like, oh, this is awesome. Like, and they showed it to the whole fucking school. And I never had to do anything in art class the rest of the year. They were just like, all right, you did your thing for the year. But I was just like, looking back on it now, I was like, God, there's no fucking way that that would have been locked up probably and put in juvenile hall or something. They were like, what is this? What is wrong with this? Some of my teachers did want to throw me away, you know, and lock me up and throw away the key. But I'm free, motherfuckers. I still win.
That's it.
Oh, where was it? We'll get a couple more comments, then I got a couple more of questions here, but they're not Romero related. They're kind of more related to your other side over here. But so I've been keeping the love flame burning. Love flame high, absolutely, sir. Eugene here in spirit. Have you heard that Eugene Clark?
I did.
Music?
After you brought it up on a show, I went and found it on YouTube. And I mean,
it's
I don't like the music, but he has some talent.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs on there, I swear.
It's like Taylor Swift. I don't like her music, but she has talent.
Oh, don't say that, or you're gonna get Swifties trying to cancel my channel here.
I know, but
although I think the tide is starting to turn on her, because my fiance was all about Taylor Swift. Just that's all she listened to, that's all she talked to. And then the other day, just out of the blue, she was just like, you know, I don't think I like her anymore.
Well,
it
was the great thing for me, because my niece, I wanted to get her into guitar. She seemed like she liked guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And my skill, I mostly play keyboards and drum machines and stuff like that. I don't have enough energy or time to put into guitar, even though I like them. I have probably 6 or 7 guitars, but I don't play very well at all. But I taught my niece enough to play some stuff. She got into Taylor Swift. It motivated her to play very well. And so I credited the music for that motivation thing. But then eventually my niece says, oh, yeah, I don't like her anymore. I said, yes. So
I feel like the tide might be turning. I think people are kind of getting sick of her at this point, because it was just like shoved down your throat every turn for a while.
We're never, ever, ever going to get back together. I mean, the lyrics are terrible.
I will say, though, like, listening to a lot of, like, just a little bit that I've heard of, like, what else is popular on, like, mainstream pop radio now. I mean, it is miles ahead of a lot of this stuff that they play on repeat now. But
I'm a get off my lawn guy when it comes to that. I feel like an old man, because a lot of new music I don't like at all. So it's just...
Yeah, I try to keep up, like, maybe not, you know, as pop music as much, like, Cardi B's and stuff like that. Like, I don't know I couldn't name a song, but like some of the, like, newer, like, alternative stuff, underground indie stuff, like, I try to stay somewhat up to date on things, but then I always just end up going back and listening to something from the 80s, or
like some of the opening tracks you play,
or something.
Some of those are cool. I hadn't heard of those before, and they were pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot. And he actually turned me on to Ritual Howls, a band called Ritual Howls. I listened to that album he referred me to, and I've been listening to it all week. It's really, 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 really good. It's Turkish Leather is the name of the album. But yeah, sometimes I'll just go on Spotify and I'll just play a song, and then, like, a song that I like, and then it just kind of just plays similar shit. So that's how I'm, you know, trying to stay on top of, like, what's out there, you know, because otherwise I just go back and I listen to the same shit over and over again, just because it's just like, it's what I need. Rob says, I think Land of the Dead is way underappreciated. Such a fun movie. What are your thoughts on Land? I know you said you weren't a big fan of Diary, not a big fan of Survival.
That's when I was like, because again I saw that in the theater too, all excited. Probably if not the first day, at least the first week. And I was like, oh man, another Romero movie. This will be amazing, right? And it's got K&B, and it's got like all the ducks were lined up, right? And I didn't recognize it's the first Grunwald thing, right? Isn't that the first one you do with Grunwald?
Bruiser was the first.
Bruiser was the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't recognize the name because I saw Bruiser later.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, a new producer must have got some new money. Okay, cool. He's got some money now to play with. Nice.
You get Universal at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
and you're just like, what?
I saw the cast, and I goes, wow, they even got the Shaun of the Dead guys in there.
Yeah.
And Savini came back for Blades, repeat. So there are elements I really liked about it. But then like that, like, I don't know. It's just the vibe was, it just didn't, I love Dennis Hopper. But
yeah.
He was poorly used in it. And
see, there's something about his performance though that's so odd that I kind of like it. It's quotable, like the scene where he's coming out of the elevator and all hell's breaking loose and he's got the money and he runs into his associate and he's like, hey, where are you going? He's like, get down. And he pulls out a gun, just shoots him in the back of the head, gets the call, says everything's okay, and just like,
yeah, he's a weasel.
I just did something that I probably wouldn't have done otherwise.
Yeah, it's
I got a big laugh in the theater, I remember.
Again, elements I like, but even some of the gore scenes, like that when they first break into the
CGI that's my biggest problem with it.
The one with the head hanging by the spinal cord behind the head and it flips up to bite. I mean,
and it looks like a cartoon, yeah.
And that doesn't work that way anyway.
And it was forward and bite. And it was so, I don't know, it just threw me for a loop when I first saw that, because all those years leading up to that, because we were just, waiting for George's next zombie film,
Yeah.
And all those years leading up to it, any interview and anything, when he would asked about like, practical effects, CGI, what you prefer, he would always just be like, oh, I hate CGI. I never want to use it. Like, but I mean, I guess once you get into budget and time, and it's easier to just CGI the blood in as opposed to doing a squib and having to clean it up every take,
Here's the smart thing though, like K&B embraces that, because in Walking Dead he has green screen patches in the prosthetics, so you get transparencies in the zombies, and that rules. That looks really good.
Yeah, K&B, I mean,
CGI blood. It's
yeah, K&B is they're pretty brilliant. I would love to kind of, I don't know who's in charge of what over there, because I feel like they all have their own strengths, but they all have their own, their own role to play,
But I wanted to like, but it was kind of like this.
K&B figured out, I'll say this real quick. K&B figured out how to do great work in a time crunch. And they knew that was their biggest calling. That's the biggest key to their success, I think, is that their ability to do great work on a film set really fast and really efficiently. Because I mean, before that, I mean, it would take, what was Rob Bottin, like shit, the time it would take for him to get everything ready for The Thing and all this stuff.
Oh, sure.
Like, so I think that's where they cornered that market into Hollywood, was they were saying like, we can provide these great effects and we can do it very cost effective and very efficiently. And that's my takeaway.
Rob Bottin, he gets all the credit for The Thing, which is amazing work, but Stan Winston did the dog kennels on the creature, and no one ever talks about that.
Yeah.
So Rob Bottin is amazing, but give Stan Winston his damn credit. I met Stan Winston about a year before he died at SIGGRAPH. He was walking the halls at this lobby or something like that in the hotel, and I know I've been following my whole career. I was an effects junkie. We can talk about it later if you want to do that, but I trying to learn that stuff, like a Tom Savini books and all that stuff. So I knew all these guys by face. I don't need to see them at a table. I just know them in the middle of nowhere. And I just went up to him just very casually and said, I don't want to come off as cheesy, but your stuff is amazing. And I didn't see you on the floor, but I'm so happy to see you here. And your work's inspirational. And I've been watching you since, I don't know, the old stuff, way back.
See, for me, Stan Winston was kind of like, for my generation, Stan Winston was kind of the first name that I recognized as an effects guy, like Jurassic Park, Terminator, T2.
Those put him on the map. But he was doing like Dead and Buried and all these other cool like small movies that
Pumpkinhead.
are
He
also
directed
amazing.
Pumpkinhead.
But like Dead and Buried has these subtle effects that are really gruesome. Where
Mhm.
like the guy gets burned up as a puppet, and it's just dark and creepy and realistic looking and very unsettling. And they're
Mhm.
not monster effects at all. And he doesn't get all the credit he deserves for some of that work.
Yeah,
But he was just a neat guy to meet. And then like he talked for like 5 minutes, super nice guy, and then he died like 8 months later. So,
yeah. I feel like he died way too soon.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. But yeah, growing up, like that was the big like name. It was like Stan Winston effects. Just like, oh shit, this is going to be spectacular.
Stan Winston, Rick Baker, those are the big guys.
Yeah.
Back then. Yeah.
Thanks for the shout out, Alpha Romero says, Robert, absolutely, man. I'm always glad to have you in here. That's awesome. Pronounced your last name right. It just came out, and I'm glad I got it right on the first try. But I don't remember what I said, so I'm not going to do it again. So I'm just going to take the victory and
now you're on the spot. So
I don't exactly remember. Yeah. Rob Lucas says Return of the Living Dead 3 is also fantastic. Reanimator 2003 is fucking hilarious. I like Return 3.
Is that Bud the Chud?
Bud the Chud. No, it's
Bud the Chud, right?
Return of the Living Dead 3?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's been forever. It's Melinda Clarke.
Bud the Chud.
What the fuck is Bud the Chud? What am I forgetting?
An intelligent zombie in Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, in part 3?
It's Garrett Graham. Garrett Graham plays Bud the Chud.
It's been so fucking long.
Paradise.
See, look at you spitting your fucking knowledge over here.
Well, I'm a movie insane person for years. So.
Bud the Chud. Planet CHH is a good channel. Also, I agree. Planet CHH. I actually did a couple of live streams with him on the Dead Pit channel back in April. We were talking WrestleMania. So for any wrestling fans out there, if you want to check that out, it's on the Dead Pit channel.
Oh, looks like I have it wrong. Chud 2. Okay, sorry. Wrong.
Love says, Stuka says, I love the battery because it's low budget, it's original, and it has a great and questionable acting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like right up my alley. It's just one of those movies that was like never been on my radar, so I just need to jump in and catch up with that one.
Is that an old one, or has it been around just like, is that a recent one, the battery?
Yeah, I think it's fairly recent.
Okay.
That's 5 years or so, maybe.
Okay.
Robert says, I spent close to $30 on smoke and mirrors, but it was still worth it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I spent like 20 just to get it today for $2.99, so go figure. John Vulo, what's up, man? Good to see you. Just watched Night 90 work yesterday. It's not Tangerine Dream. It uses a lot of Halloween 2's. Yeah, it does use a lot of Halloween 2's music as well.
John Carpenter.
Minus the well-known theme. Honestly, I wasn't that impressed. Paul's is better. Okay. Interesting.
I do like the Halloween 2 score, though, but yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. It does have some Halloween 2 cues in it.
If it's used properly, though, it could be bad. So.
Yeah, I'd be interested in getting your take on what it is. Or what you think about the use of it, because like I said, it's just kind of cut and paste there together, a bunch of different shit. Okay, so Robert, so except for the Loud Birds, love the score in Night 90. So I don't know, maybe we're in the minority here. I don't know. It's just one of those. Like I said, there's a couple of cues in that score that I like, but like the end theme, like it's fun, it's cool. Like when it's dang 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 dang, but I don't know. It just wasn't the right feel that the movie needed to me. I don't know.
My favorite part in the Night 90 score is just these subtle cues with it's like a chime that drops in pitch. It goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really subtle and those are cool. And I use some sounds like that in some of my horror type music. So I like some of those sounds.
Sean, glad to have you in here tonight, man. Have a good rest of the night and catch up with us tomorrow. Have a good 4th of July if we don't interact until then. Nathan Caldwell, did anyone else get to see the 3D 1978 Dawn in theaters a few years back around Halloween? Yeah, that's the
I missed it.
That's the first time I saw Dawn on the big screen. I'm not a huge 3D fan, but I had to.
Done, though? Was it a good 3D effect?
I thought so. I mean, for a 45 or 44, whatever it was at the time, year old movie, I thought it was done pretty well. But like I said, I'm not a huge 3D fan. I haven't seen a whole lot of 3D, so I don't. I mean, it's probably not Avatar or anything like that.
When they took that Clash of the Titans remake and made it 3D, it was terrible.
Oh, really?
Like when things cross the screen, they cross the threshold of going from left to right. You get these weird like artifacts and stuff. So I guess they figured it out by now. But
yeah, I don't know. I usually avoid 3D at all costs. I just remember seeing Avatar in 3D back in the day and thinking it was really cool, but then I had like the worst headache, and
it's not for everybody. Yeah, it doesn't work. But
thought it was going to kill me that night.
IMAX 3D was amazing.
Let's see. Jimmy G says Land was okay. Had high expectations, thinking it was going to be the Day of the Dead we didn't get. Which I mean, a lot of the ideas in Land are in that original day screenplay. But yeah, it's just 20. It was 20 years after Day of the Dead. Film had changed. They were shooting in Toronto. They weren't in Pittsburgh anymore. It wasn't the same crew. It was just
the male lead is very milquetoast. I don't like the male lead.
Simon Baker. Yeah. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that's important. Like Peter's an amazing guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
His role is huge in the movie, and the acting is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just same with Ben, and same with Pilato as Rhodes. If your main guy or one of your main guys is not good, then it kind of ruins everything, right?
Yeah, I ended up like Robert Joy. I love him in it as Charlie.
He's okay. I liked him in other stuff, but he's okay in
that. Ozzy was a cool choice. I've always been an Ozzy Argento fan, acting or not.
Yeah, I remember the Stendhal syndrome. Like, oh boy,
that's like the one Argento film that I just can't get through, and I just don't get. Like, I love Argento. Like, I even like his newer stuff. I've enjoyed. Like, Card Player. I thought was pretty well done, pretty good. Mother of Tears, I thought was surprisingly really good. But like Stendhal syndrome is one that I haven't. It hasn't clicked with me at all yet.
I saw that in the theater. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Really? Yeah, that's one ain't got me. Like Land of the Dead, says Krusty, the only thing that is missing is the feeling of terror. Yeah, terror of the trilogy. Because I mean, I guess which is kind of the idea of Land of the Dead. They were all kind of bored with the situation as it was, I guess, and we're just kind of like existing in that world now, and it wasn't really a threat anymore until it was.
Got too complacent. Yeah, they thought their defenses were perfect, and they got lazy.
Mm-hmm. There you go. I love Land of the Dead. It was my first opportunity to see Romero in the theater. Yeah, mine too. I saw it opening night. I was on a first date with a girl. I was like, we're going to the movies. We're going to go see Land of the Dead. And I thought 3 times, I think, during that initial run. And because that first time I was just like, man, I kind of liked it, but I didn't love it. I don't know. So I watched it. I went back 2 more times to see if I could talk myself into it a little more, and I liked it more and more as I watched it. And over the years, it plays fine. It's not on the level of night, dawn, day. It's not on that level at all. It's just it is what it is. And I just enjoy it for what it is. It's flawed, but I like it.
Even the game wasn't very good, right?
Oh yeah, the game was pretty terrible. Yeah. But it was I think I beat that game in one sitting. It wasn't.
I was excited because you didn't get. I mean, you had Resident Evil, but you didn't really get a proper zombie movie.
Yeah.
Like Romero type zombie movie. Game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but then there was a Sega title called Flesh Feast back in late '90s, something like that. I don't know if you ever saw that one. And it literally takes place in a mall, and you have things. It's kind of like a poor man's version, top down, like old GTA style of Dead Rising. Without the camera, without the helicopter dropping you off and all that stuff. You just go on the thing and survive and beat up zombies with equipment and just try and survive. and it's 3D, but it's like GTA, so it's a top down like small character thing. And I wanted to like it more than I did, but it's for a while. It was the only zombie game I had on the PC.
Yeah, you go back and look back at some of the stuff that you like that I was just obsessively playing. Back in the day. You look back on it now and you try to go back and play some of that shit, and you're just like, how did I fucking spend so much time doing this? This is not like a lot of the old wrestling games are like that. Like going back, it's just like, God, I don't even. This is unplayable. Nathan says he also thinks Land is great. So I mean, yeah, Land's kind of one of those split things. I mean, it was surprising when I did that that March Madness bracket where I had all the movies up against each other to see which one would come in the end. And Land ended up beating The Crazies, and I was kind of surprised by that. But I didn't, you know. So, Paul, what's up, man?
First movie, I would like it more for sure.
Probably. Yeah. Paul says Chud 2 is Bud the Chud.
Yeah, I fucked that up. I got it wrong. So.
Yes. I thought I was like, what are you talking about? Like, do I need to go back and watch? I feel like I remember that, but I don't remember that.
Was it Melinda Clark you said is using that? I do remember her in that.
Yeah. But that's a good movie. Return 3. It's different, but I like different. Stuka says battery is 2012. Okay. So that's me, that's still fairly recent. I don't know. That's a while ago. Rob says I do agree Land is more of a zombie action movie and had little stakes, lacking in terror. And here's the best question tonight. Mankind versus John Lennon.
How about Mankind versus Yoko Ono?
Yeah, I'll take anybody up against Yoko.
Where she's going, the crazy vocalization stuff she does. Yeah,
it's fucking awful. That's why it's one of those women.
I with Dada. If you follow Dadaism, the art form, like when you take a bite out of an apple, put it on a platform, that's art. It's like, I don't think so.
No, I mean, I get what they're trying to say. It's like all art is not objective, but it's subjective. All art is subjective.
The holder for sure, but at the same time, I want some skill in there. That's not skill.
Yeah,
I'm not going to the Louvre to look at an apple rotting on a pedestal. You know,
but it represents life and death. Don't you get it?
But see, the Dadaist music is the same crap, where it's just like that screaming stuff she does, and
and it's like the joke. And have you seen Walk Hard, Dewey Cox story?
I saw it a long time ago, but I have seen it. Yeah, it's
they kind of play on that when he goes into his LSD phase and he starts just making. It's like it's not even music, Dewey.
Yeah. Well,
it's like John Cage, you guys are idiots. It's deep. You guys
heard of John Cage? He's famous for this.
Johnny Cage, Mortal Kombat.
No, John. Sounds similar, but it's John Cage. So he's famous for a piece called 4 minutes 33 seconds. And it's an orchestra setup. You sit in a room with a classical orchestra setup, and the entire piece is silence. The conductor turns the page. Nobody plays a thing. And the whole point is you're in the room, and you're supposed to listen to the sounds of the room and experience the location. The music is, the room is the music. Just like musique concrète, the French form where you would sample stuff from nature and splice tapes, like primitive sampling stuff, and make weird art collages out of sounds.
It's like fucking stuff, you know? It's stupid.
It is, but it's also
it's like Jackson Pollock. Like people are always like, is that art? Is it not? It's just like,
but it's better than Yoko.
It's in the eye of the beholder, but not really. No.
Like Frank Zappa used to do some of that stuff in his old days. Look on YouTube for Frank Zappa playing a bicycle.
Yeah.
And that's
Zappa was talented. I mean, he could do.
But that's the same
anything
movement.
You want.
The playing the bicycle thing is all that.
Yoko doesn't have talent.
No, she's terrible.
She has no talent. She's just, she latched onto a Beatle, and the rest is history. But I would probably rather listen to a cat being beaten to death by a baby than to listen to Yoko Ono's howling or whatever.
She was good at breaking up the Beatles. So.
Yeah, she was good at that. Speaking of the Beatles, HBK versus Ringo Starr. It's got to be HBK. I mean, Sweet Chin Music. Come on. It's the man. But since we're on the topic of music, and music is something that you dabble with a little bit on your channel, hence the name Synth Addict.
I have a little bit toys, and I don't, this is just a
couple of keyboards.
This is not real.
But number 9 on the list of the top 10 or the 10 questions here. It's kind of worked out. I mean, it's just been, going back and forth here. But number 9, favorite artist or band?
Well, that changes like most things over time and mood and so forth.
Agree.
I mean, so if you're talking like, it's almost like saying favorite movie. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a giant list where I kind of have this kind of hodgepodge of stuff smashed together that are all kind of favorites, like, you know, like use like Led Zeppelin, The Who, all that kind of stuff, right? Just great stuff, and more into the prog rock stuff. You know, you get into Rush is really good, and there's a bunch of stuff in that time period. But then one of the things I consistently go to over and over and over again for lots of different reasons is one you already mentioned, Tangerine Dream. So they've changed band members so much. They've changed styles so much from the 60s all the way to present time after the main guy, Edgar Froese, died. Was it like 5 years ago, I think? He was the original founding member, still there. And then he had other people working around him, and he died. So I missed their last tour with him on it when they went to L.A. It's not the same. It's like a skeleton of what they were. But it would be fun to see them live once with an original member, because their new stuff is pretty good. There's a German guy, Thorsten Quaschening. So it's a very interesting name.
Sounds very German.
Yes, and he is very German, and he carries the torch very well of the German sound of Tangerine Dream, what they call Berlin School. So it's a combination of, if you listen to their stuff in the late 70s a lot, like Ricochet, Rubicon, one called Green Desert, a bunch of other stuff that's more that's their style, which is called Berlin School. So it's driving, arpeggio, synth beat. So they're one of the first bands to use a synth as rhythm. So that the stuff you take for granted now in dance music and video game scores and stuff like that, they kind of pioneered that. Like Kraftwerk was big at doing what they call electro pop, which has been sampled a million times for hip hop stuff. It's Kraftwerk all over the place, right?
I love Kraftwerk.
Oh, they're great too. But Tangerine Dream is more about that synthetic driving beat, thing called an ostinato, where it's basically a repeating pattern, where it's a dun, 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 and then the filter sweep comes in, so and they put some delays in there, and then now you're on this journey. I'm like, this is fucking great, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing for me when it comes to music. Is I guess the film lover in me as well. Like I love music that's cinematic in some way, and I think that's one of the biggest keys to a movie to me is the soundtrack, the music, the score, because the right music cue on a scene can fucking break my heart. Like I'll just fucking bawl, and I don't even know what's going on in the movie. It's just like the music hits right.
Music hits your emotional center big time. If it's done well. You can take a scene that's just a basic scene, and you use the right chords and the right instrumentation and the right tempo, and people are crying their eyes out. You take the music out, and they go, it's an okay scene.
Well, I mean, you've heard the story of when John Carpenter first submitted the cut of Halloween without the soundtrack score or anything to it, and they were just like, "This isn't scary. This is not. I don't get it. Like this isn't." And he puts the score over it, and then all of a sudden, it's terrifying. So that's a perfect example of what a good
just
score
like sound effects in general. Once you rip the sound out of something, the life is gone. The visual image is powerful, but without the sound, it loses the impact. And music just adds that extra bit of sweetening beyond the sound.
Right.
And in some cases can be everything. Like you notice Michael Mann, like a lot of his movies, like he used Tangerine Dream on several tracks, several movies like Thief and The Keep and things like that. And certain scenes, the sound drops out and it's just music. And the emotion of the scene continues or sometimes elevates with just that music.
Yeah.
And there's no sound effects at this point, and you're just watching, and you're lost in it,
What do you think about these two? Paul brings up Firestarter soundtrack as a masterpiece, one of Tangerine Dream's best. Sorcerer is also very high on the list.
Sorcerer's that older period, so that was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
They're better workings than stuff like Ricochet, Rubicon, Green Desert, things like that. I think, and some of the early 80s stuff like Tangram is really good. If you like the movie Risky Business, they did the score for Risky Business. It's like
I haven't seen that in
Tangram.
years.
Yeah, I love that score, and it's just,
I saw. Didn't you do a cover?
I did
Or
a cover.
something? Yeah.
I was doing some challenges a while back because one of the fun things about this equipment is if you use what's called a digital audio workstation, DAW for short, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a virtual mixer. Like if I look down here, you can see what a real mixer looks like.
Look at him switching cameras.
So this is a vocal effect box. I can play with that later if you want to hear some weird shit on the fly. Like I could turn my voice into a woman. I can be a demon. I can be a Bollywood singer. I can be whatever the hell I want. But this is a giant mixer down here. You see all the faders. It's a 24-track mixer. So this is the old school.
Let me solo you here.
There you go. And you can see my you can hear my audio peeking through there as I'm tapping the thing. You can see the peaks. This is what most studios would have, a proper mixer. Well, now everyone does stuff in what they call in the box. So the computer has virtual representations of a mixer with sliders and knobs and all that kind of stuff, right? So you have this. I have to basically manually, constantly, move up and down, and I have some pan pots to pan left and right. I have other things with effects loops. I can use all my effects and racks here and route effects independently real time through different things. Well, that's the old paradigm. Now everyone does it through software with the same functionality as this, but automation. So you're not some guy moving. Like if you want to move all these at once, you got to put your whole arm on here and slide, down the thing. That's not, people have done that, but it's not very efficient. So with the technology they have now, where the computer's doing everything, and even the graphics of the computer are what's called skeuomorphic. It looks just like a mixer with the knobs and faders and sliders and stuff like that. So you don't have to think to make it make sense because it's copying the real world. And
when you want to demonstrate it a little bit here?
I can. I was yakking too much. I wasn't plugging in what I was supposed to plug in here. So what I was going to show real quick is one of my little boxes here. That's actually why I had the camera set up here. There's this little box right here. Come on, camera. It's made in Germany by Native Instruments. They make a lot of software, but they got smart and started making hardware with their software in it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is called it's German, so it's not machine, it's machina.
Machina.
Yeah, well, in Spanish it'd be machina. They say machina. And it's spelled M-A-S-C-H-I-N-E, machina.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Machina Plus. So you can hook this to a computer and play these pads and turn these knobs and all this kind of stuff in a DAW configuration. Or I'm a hardware guy. You see all the hardware behind me and stuff.
Right.
I want the hardware. So what's cool about this box is their plugins normally inside of a DAW in hardware. So
he's fading away.
Oh, sorry.
Come back to the microphone.
Yeah, sorry. This is a cardioid mic. I got to get on top of the thing. So the software's inside the hardware, and it acts like hardware. But I have the control of the software, and I have the portability of a piece of hardware that normally you'd have on a laptop or something like that. But you have all this tactile stuff. These pads.
So the
insanely good pads.
The bit of music which is called Exotic Heat, which I did the open of the show with tonight, was that done on that piece of equipment there? Because it looks familiar.
Done this and no computer.
There you go.
So
and it's amazing. Like that stuff, like all this stuff is like, I've played music, I play guitar, drums, all that stuff, but this stuff fascinates me because I'm like, I can't play piano. I'm clueless to any like the technical aspect of these things. So that's one thing I've always been fascinated by is trying to figure out how this shit works.
In fact, if you want, real quick, I can open that track.
Sure.
and show you how it was made on the box, just real quickly, and then I can go to the Dawn of the Dead thing.
Sure.
Because since you've already heard the music, it helps illustrate what can be done in the final product versus the bits and pieces. And,
Okay.
and what's so much fun about this stuff, where it's tactile. You have the control you have in the software, but it's eminently tactile. And okay, I can hear that now. You hear that buzz?
I do.
Okay, good.
I thought there was a fucking fly.
No, I'm just making sure.
You're looking at the camera. I'm just like, what the fuck? That was a fly buzzing above my head.
Making sure I'm live on my.
Tom Atkins versus Sting from the Police. Tom Atkins for sure. Tom Atkins would whoop Sting from WCW. So I mean, I love the Police, but Sting, no, thank you. I'm not gonna handle Tom Atkins today.
Wasn't Sting the one that used to go against the Undertaker?
That was he was always supposed to, like, that was the dream match or whatever, and it just never happened. I think you might be thinking of Kane. Kane was
my wrestling game is not strong. I mean, I used to watch Mean Gene Okerlund and Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking like mid '80s probably.
Oh yeah, Bobby the Brain Heenan, called the Weasel.
Yeah, love
Barry
love
Von
Brain.
Raschke, the Claw. Just crazy ass characters.
Yeah, Robert. Tom Atkins would kill Sting of the Police. Paul also said the Thief is a fantastic score. In the end of, I sounded like I was from Minnesota there for a second. Fantastic score. And the end of E.T. and the music brings me to tears every time. Yeah.
So Thief is a classic thing. So one of the good things about Tangerine Dream, it's great, is they occasionally made a score for the movie. Most of their stuff is elements of their other albums repackaged for soundtracks. So they're very clever about not having to reinvent the wheel and purpose adding stuff to a movie score they already made. Very clever. So they're not having to reinvent the wheel all the time, right? So you can see this thing boot up with a colorful
Ooh.
buttons. And unfortunately, it's not zoomed out very far. Let me see.
Anybody else have any more, as while we're waiting for Synth to get all set up here? Anybody else got any more celebrity death matches that he wants to see? That was a great show. I miss Celebrity Deathmatch.
So this has a quad-core Atom processor, and it's not the most powerful computer in the world, but it's powerful enough to do what it needs to.
Don't get too nerdy on me. I'm a novice.
Well, just for the computer guys out there, it's not a fast computer at all.
There we go.
But it's fast enough to be music related. Like the reason people use this hooked to a computer in computer mode, if you want to use all the plugins in the world, all the effects in the world, like if you drown stuff in reverb, this thing will start choking. You cannot just throw everything you want to at it. It's designed to be, you have to have a certain mindset to use this. And if you go, oh, I want to drown everything in reverb, use every plugin in existence, well, use the goddamn computer then. You can control it with this. There's a Machina app, and you have full control over the app with this, and that's also really cool. But that's not my bag right now. I want to actually do stuff that's, independent. So let me just quickly load up the one you're thinking of here, which is
Romero. Oh, I like Goldberg. Robert says Steelbook for the Diary. Yeah, that's right. Diary of the Dead Steelbook coming out tomorrow. I hope Walmart will have it in stock and pick it up. That's one. I feel like I totally. Because, yeah, the only Blu-ray release of Diary of the Dead at this point is that the Dimension Extreme version that came out when the movie came out. So, yeah, kind of want something. Little snare drum there. Kind of want something new for that. So that Steelbook, yeah, this is pretty cool looking Steelbook. But yeah, I kind of forgot that was coming out tomorrow. Still waiting for the Bruiser 4K. That sounds good on my end.
Okay. So this is a complex kit of it's like a power drum kit of like huge toms, big kick drums, taiko drum parts, you name it. So it's like part Hans Zimmer set, part like I did a Lord of the Rings track, if you look at my channel, and also on my SoundCloud, which has a lot of huge drums in it as well.
Yeah, and I'll have a link for all those down in the description too, after we're done here.
No problem, yeah. So that also used some huge drums, because if you watch Lord of the Rings, he's using massive, Howard Shore used a shitload of crazy giant drums and powerful sounds and stuff for Lord of the Rings, which is great soundtracks. So anyway, this is the kit basically. Some of these are layered. So for example, I was talking about arpeggios before. If you want to use the expressiveness of the drum and this little arpeggiator function, I can change the tempo of that. Right, so you get that, and I'm changing the tempo of the repeats. So you get the idea. So that's for that, and then you have your bass line.
See, that sound just gets gets me excited. I don't know. It's the horror fan in me, I swear.
So really nice synth bass.
Yeah.
Right? And it's usually a lot of the best synth basses are actually FM. If you get into synthesis, you know what FM means. It's not like FM radio. It's a certain, like a Yamaha DX7 is an FM synth. So they're just very ballsy, have a lot of character.
Stay with me here, Synth.
So
we know we're elementary.
Just so I use the name brand out there, so people who know keyboards might go, "Oh, I've seen a DX7 before."
Okay.
So, it's like a little plucky sound, so I can do this. And if I can dynamically tweak the playback. The idea of that, and that is using there's several different Japanese scales out there that are really nice. So you're locking your scale. So instead of like you go to the piano and the piano notes, it's A through G, right?
Right.
And so like C to C is an octave, and if you just play the white notes, that's basically Ionian mode or C major scale, right? Just playing the white notes, that's it. Depending where you start, but basically that's C major scale. So this is a Japanese scale, which is a subset. It's not an octave. It's actually what's called a pentatonic scale. I don't want to get too nerdy, but you're only using up to 5 notes, not 8 notes, and using certain flavors of notes. So when I play these individually without the arpeggiator sound, you'll hear a Japanese feel to it. If you made that a flute, you go, "Oh, that's very Japanese sounding," right? But this is a pluck sound, and then I have synthy sound.
See,
bell sound. Here's a nice flute. And what's cool about this one? It's velocity triggered for the different flute layers. So check this out. So if I hit it with more velocity,
I kind of noticed that watching the video when I was from the song, the Exotic Heat. I was watching the video and it didn't look like you had changed anything. It really did more than just like hit it a little harder. Yeah.
And that's the magic. Keyboards have done this for a long time, but now pads are doing it as well. So you can do soft and then go right into
right.
And what's cool is if I hold it after I've triggered the high velocity, you'll hear not just the overblow, but the thing called flutter tongue. It's like, which is a real flute technique. That's flutter tongue. So that takes a long time to learn. So another cool thing about this technology is I don't know how to play flute, right?
Right.
That's hard, like years and years of work to play flute. But if I get a proper library, somebody's programmed, or I make my own library out of sounds, I get this performance aspect of the flute that's super expressive and emotive without spending 15 years to learn the damn flute.
So. This is kind of on topic, because when you talk about like being able to use the sound of a flute, it sounds like somebody's playing a flute without actually having to have somebody there to play the flute.
Yeah.
What are your stances on AI? Where do you think that? Because I know you're a tech guy. You know all this shit. Like, where do you think that's headed in the future for like movies, music?
So AI is already used to a point on certain tools I use. Like if I get, for example, some of my recordings I've had to actually tweak a little bit because digital recording is not 100%. Occasionally get a little, like a little glitch in your recording, and you can't stop it. It just happened, and you don't know until you play it back. So I use this company called Isotope, makes these really cool plugins to fix things, like take reverb out of something that's too much reverb. Like if the room noise is this boomy, giant space, like the drums I played earlier, where it's like,
right,
and I want it to sound like a, I can use a de-reverb algorithm, take that sucker out. So that's a form of AI already, right? So the AI tools have been around for a while to do useful things, fix glitches, take out reverb, take out this. There's a thing in the mic called a plosive. It's like when I hit the mic,
right? Yeah.
Plosive, and you don't want that. So you have like this pop screen, like on here. I have my pop screen in front of my mic to stop the plosives. So I'm saying P a lot. You're not hearing the plosives. So I take it off. You know, it's like that. So de-reverb, de-plosive. There's all these little cool things you can do with AI tools. The problem with AI is when it comes to composing music and generating music, where it's all going to sound the same. The current stuff sounds pretty bad already. Like there's a great video somebody made. I can find the link and give it to you. But
yeah, I love when people play you a song or something from the internet and they're like, "Can you believe that this was AI?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's shit. Like, it is. Like, it's not good. Like, I get it." And it's like, I don't know.
This one YouTube guy made a scathing video on Spotify, and not just how Spotify is, stealing money from artists, obviously, because they're not giving money for stuff. They're using AI tools now to regenerate music uploaded by artists to make new artists that don't exist. They're making fake names, fake artwork, making money that goes back into their pocket from stuff they're hosting on Spotify.
It's not surprising. I mean, that's kind of where everybody kind of expects it to go.
It's brutal and it's criminal, right? It's just like so bad. So, and also the music they're making is crap. It's just regurgitated stuff,
Stugas, are you drunk? Abraham Lincoln versus the Beatles first album. I come on.
So real quick, since you heard the opening track, I'll play just real quick. I'll jump through the layers I built already, and some I play live as well. So if I just go into the scene mode. Tell me if it's too loud.
Maybe get down a little bit.
Stereo?
That's good, yeah.
All MIDI. I don't know if you know about MIDI. Here comes a live part. I have to remember what I actually played because it's a live part. delay effect, so it starts bouncing around more.
Right.
Actually manual.
See, like, all this looks so complicated to me. I don't know. Like you're just moving dials and changing settings, and it's just like trying to remember part of the.
It's easier than doing it completely manually with the hardware I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
There's like a big drum break up there.
Awesome.
But that gives you an idea of
I'm fascinated by it because, like I said, like I play music, like I play guitar, drums, stuff like that. But that's just like a lot of, I don't know. I've always been fascinated by that aspect. Just there's the trying to remember like what to set this to and what this does. I guess maybe it's just something you got to play with for a while to get a feel for. But
well, like for example, so if I go to the drums here, just show you real quick how you. Like, oh, what do I do? How do I do anything on here? So I go to my instrument section here. And first, actually not drums, I'll go to the bass. So I go to the instruments here. Hold on a second. There we go. So I have my different engines here. So there's an FM engine, there's a sample engine, there's a classic analog synth engine called Monarch. There's a digital synth engine called Prism.
mm-hmm.
There's another one called this one called Reactor, where it's like this right here. This is out of focus. My camera earlier I was trying to fix. This is real modular across the room, and Reactor is like a software version of this, but even further, where you can just do wacky, evolving things. This is old Tangerine Dream was modular for the most part.
Yeah, I've seen those fucking things, and it's just like I went to school for this stuff, and I still am just like, what in the fuck? Like,
exactly.
It's incredible just the amount of shit that goes into it. It's like, it's impressive for me.
There's one called Retro Machines, which is like string synths and stuff. So if I'm doing the Dawn of the Dead score, I need a string synth. I need a thing called a Mellotron, which is basically a tape-based sample playback thing before they could record digitally. It's called Mellotron. And every key has its own 8-second tape loop that plays, and you can only hold it for 8 seconds, and then you have to let go and it has to rewind. So if you listen to anything from the 70s, this is Led Zeppelin, this is anything, Tangerine Dream, anyone who used choir, strings, certain kinds of other weird percussion and stuff, they were all libraries built on this thing called a Mellotron. And samplers didn't come out to the late 70s, early 80s, right? Which is where you have like Art of Noise going crazy with samples, and Peter Gabriel and all those kind of guys, where they're actually digital recording sounds, like I just did with all these drums and stuff. But back then you didn't have the technology, so you need some of these retro things to recreate some of the old sounds,
right?
Of Mellotron stuff. So I'll quickly load up the Dawn of the Dead thing here. That I haven't recorded.
Give us a little Dawn.
I haven't recorded the music yet, but I can at least show you the sound banks I'm going to use. So I called it Morti Viventi because that's part of the album title.
Mm-hmm. Drunk ass Stugas has given you a standing ovation.
Oh, thank you very much.
Or it's a synth version of Jethro Tull with those flutes.
If you go look on my channel, I also do live stuff with the modular setup in San Francisco. Sometimes there's also
I've watched some of those videos. What do you go by? It's like Aquifex or something. Is that like your name that you go by when you play live?
Aquifex was my first thing I did. It's a SoundCloud account.
Okay.
And then I have 4 of those because the SoundCloud fills up and I'm too cheap to pay for it. So I use the free account. So I have 4 Aquifex accounts.
Okay.
Aquifex 02, 03, and 04. But they're all referenced in every page. They reference to every other page. So you can't get lost. And on Aquifex 04, I made a master playlist of like 8 years of shit or whatever. But then I have the Synth Addict, and then I have on the SoundCloud I have a thing. I wanted to use something different than Synth Addict because Synth Addict's also like music demos and tech demos and stuff. And as a music name, I don't have a performance name. And I'm a biology nerd, so my microscope channel, I always looking at critters and stuff. And one of the most recent critters I found is one of my favorite. It's called Paranema. It's a euglenoid flagellate. So that means
you do and you clean it up.
So it has 2 flagella.
What the fuck is that?
It has 2 flagella. It swims around with the 2 flagella, and one
what
the
put in
front of it.
With flagella, go back.
Like
Wait.
Spermatozoa has a flagellum.
Just say sperm, dog.
I know. But that's the flagellum. So that whipping behavior, like that.
Yeah.
So it has this kind of jerky motion when it moves, right?
Uh-huh.
Whereas a ciliate, which is like paramecium, really famous one, is covered with these little tiny hairs called cilia. And because they all beat like oars, it can just rotate, turn on a dime, fly through the scene like a spaceship. They're very fluid, very cool looking things. But I just discovered Paranema a while back, and I thought it was a cool name because everyone's taken.
Sounds like a Tool album.
Kind of, yeah,
Tool, Paranema.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's your channel, Micro Addict. Was that the?
So there's Micro Addict for microscope stuff. There's I have an Astro Addict channel for astronomy stuff. I do live streams with the telescope like a star party, so you can have the fun of being at a star party without being there. You don't have to look through the eyepiece. I'll do it for you.
That's cool.
There's an Astro Addict already on YouTube. He's very big. He makes professional stuff, but I wanted to keep my name theme, so I added a number to the end of it. So if you have that link, you can show that later. It's just
I'll put all the links to everything down in the description box after the stream tonight. Anybody wants to check out anything that Synth's doing, and he does a lot. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, he was pretty much documented.
I need more time.
He actually documented almost everything there was documented, including a conversation of us just standing around in Hall B. That was pretty funny to watch. Just standing around bullshitting like a bunch of nerds, and then you see me wander off to a booth, fucking haggling over fine art. I think.
Did you get something there? Did you get that?
Yeah, I got that. I got that photo from it's Nightmare 1984 is the name of the booth. It was just should have grabbed it, but it's a cool print that the guy did of George throughout the series of his life's events.
Oh, nice.
It's like Night of the Living Dead, and it's got George, what George looked like in Night, and then Dawn of the Dead, what George looked like in Dawn, and then Day of the Dead. And I just thought it was really cool, and ended up picking up that from. But that's what I was doing. If you watch that video and you see me in the back, and it looks like I'm just politicking, like I'm shaking hands and kissing babies and being like, hey, how you doing? Well,
it's
do
like
you
Life of Brian? We're supposed to haggle 10 for that. You must be mad.
No, I didn't haggle with him too much. I mean, it was a pretty fair price. I was like, yeah, okay, I can do that for you, man. I appreciate this.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's a quick Dawn layout, just to give you an idea. It's not even close to being a piece yet, so I'm not going to play it. I'm just kind of figuring out the parts, but you can hear the sound parts that make up the Dawn. So that's So there's your kick.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your bass. Oops. Sorry. This is off. Wrong octave.
There you go.
So you get the tempo right there. And then this is tubular bells. Oops. So there's your tubular bells for the different parts in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a mellotron choir, I think. No, this is the string synth with the phaser on it.
Uh-huh.
So you hear it sweeping through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not playing the right notes, but you get the idea.
Gotcha.
And then this is your timpani.
That sounds just like the track.
That's what I'm saying. So you get all the right parts, and this is supposed to be the lead that I haven't figured out yet because it's a fast lead, and I'm not the best keyboard player. Although I have all exactly. So.
Yeah.
Oops. There you go. So you have that part there, and then you have.
No way I'd be able to figure that out.
Oh, this is a guitar crunch for later when it starts going. It's like a choked guitar that's going on top of the beat, and I gotta get the pitch right. It's one of these, and then I think this is the Mellotron choir. And all those guys used this back then. Fabio Frizzi used it on Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Any Italian movie that use synths and choir sounds, they use the same shit. This is sampled from the Mellotron. Like there's a great scene. It's a great piece of music in Nightmare City. Where he uses this Mellotron. He goes to that church and he fights the priest.
Yeah. I talked about that scene last week and how it's just completely nightmarish. Like, why is there a giant church out in the middle of this field? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense, I guess.
I love how they're flying a helicopter over a field and they're just scrambling like they're just crazy lost. just run around like idiots.
Just wandering around lost. Yeah.
So there's that layer. Then I have a couple more layers over here. There's a vibraphone part in the background. Later in the track. Following the thing, and then this is another synthy bit. This is there's a couple. There's a synthy part that follows about halfway through the track, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different than the other one. That's the
right. Yeah.
This one's a little simpler, a little thinner, but it also has a.
It's good because it kind of layers. Over like the second or third time it goes through that.
This also has movement in it, so there's some automation, so it does a sweep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a filter sweep in there.
Kind of sounds like what does that sound like? They're creeping up on you segment from Creepshow. Kind of has that vibe to it a little bit.
Exactly. So that's one of the tricks of the old synths is because you did monophonic, one note at a time. You could not do chords in a lot of synths of the 70s, even some early 80s synths. You spent a lot of money. So like Mini Moog's a famous mono synth that everyone loves, right? It's all over the place. You could not do chords. You couldn't even do two notes at a time. You could do one note. So in order to have joining notes, you do this thing called portamento, where it's like it goes between notes. It goes so. It's kind of a sweep. It goes weep, weep.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a beep, 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 beep. It's a. When you do a bigger jump, you really hear it. That's portamento, also called glide. So
portamento.
Yeah, that's a hallmark of analog synths and anyone copying analog synths because you're making. This is a monophonic. I can't do chords here. It's monophonic. So. And that's when you do like shredding guitar stuff. You also do like a kind of a portamento mono synth kind of trick to get some shredding guitar sounds as well sometimes. But, so those are the elements to make the Dawn of the Dead Morte Viventi track.
There you go. Very cool.
I need to sit and actually figure out
are you gonna figure out the
all that shit? I have to because
good luck.
If you watch my channel. It may take me a while, but most of the time I can bang these out pretty quickly. Like that one I played in the beginning, the Asian Japanese thing. I made that in 2 hours. So this machine, the workflow is so good. I'm able to play everything and not cheat, and still get it done pretty quickly. Dawn is more complicated because it's a lot of sounds layered and a lot of organic.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like a lot of layering going on there.
It's complicated, and you have to listen very, very carefully. Because the stuff interacts, and you might think you're hearing a chord you're not hearing because of the stuff interacting and the reverb from one versus the delay on another thing. And sometimes, if you're gonna copy something and not just do an impression of something,
right?
So I might just do an impression at some point if I get too too tired of trying to master it.
Do your own take on it, man. Put your own spin on it.
I might just do that because I heard the one you did on one of your streams. The opening track you used was someone's version of it. It's like someone redid it with their own flair, right? I don't know who made that track. Do you remember?
Oh, which one?
One of your opening music bits on.
Was it the Goblin?
It wasn't made. It was clearly a cover, but it was a reimagining cover, not a real cover.
It's probably Blacklight Automation is the name of the.
Okay.
And
it has some samples in it too from the movie.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. It was a very good cover. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
But it's not an accurate cover. It's an impression, which is cool. I like impressions as well. And again,
I kind of prefer that. I kind of like to see somebody, different little twist on it, a little different take.
Yeah.
But
so that's my next project.
Very cool, man.
I don't have any real horror art to share. I mean, I have lots of posters and stuff over the years and magazines, all kind of tucked away. But I did get this from the video store when I used to work there. I mean, this is from that long ago. It's not my favorite movie, but here's a standee of Freddy.
Oh.
From Nightmare 2. So
and you got that while you were working at a
the
video store. Okay.
So I broke into 2 so it's easier to transport. But I took the backing off so it's flat, easier to carry.
Uh-huh.
But it was a stand-up thing. I had a raw deal one from Schwarzenegger. I had a whole bunch. Everything that came to the store, they let me take it once they were done with it. So. So I got some free.
That's
stuff
pretty goddamn cool.
But I don't have too much else. I mean, I have these are cool. If you ever saw these figures that came from for American Werewolf in London, the Nightmare Werewolf features the Nazi werewolves.
I don't think I've seen that.
I've
seen American Werewolf in London, but I don't think I've ever seen that figure.
There's the one with the machine gun, and there's this other one. This is from that nightmare sequence where this family gets slaughtered by the Nazi werewolves. And this one had a knife, and he's got this monstrous face like, this is Rick Baker, great Rick Baker stuff. So
I mean, American Werewolf in London.
And I have a really bad knockoff of the Friday the 13th mask. So,
I think that's right of passage. Everybody's got to have a Jason Hockey mask. Rob asks.
Sci-fi. So.
Rob asks when Queens of the Dead is coming. Have you looked into this at all? Have you read anything about it? It's Tina Romero, George's daughter. I guess she's making her zombie movie, Queens of the Dead.
You guys talking about that. Yeah. Is that really in the works or is it just talk?
Apparently, I guess it's something she's been trying to work on for a long time, like 4 years. I think she's been trying to get this made from what I hear. But apparently, it's just going to be her version of what her dad did, basically. What do you think of that? Because we've heard news of that. There's Twilight of the Dead, which is apparently like one of those.
That was dead. I asked Tom Savini about that.
Really?
No, did I see it? No, I'm mixing up things. He said it at a con that it's totally dead, and he doesn't want it to be made anyway because he knows it's going to be terrible. The Twilight one.
Well, the one saving grace to Twilight, though, the Twilight of the Dead, from the reports we were getting, is that they did actually have an actual filmmaker directing, like behind it, and Brad Anderson, who made Session 9, and
he's in an interview with one of those guys. That interviewed with George at one point when he was still alive. I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a guy who's talking to George about the project. I saw a video of that somewhere, but I thought he had an accent.
I've seen that.
Wasn't a foreign guy.
It may have been. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that one or not. I have read George's treatment for Twilight of the Dead when I was at the archive. Actually, I actually did read it, and it was basically a sequel to Land of the Dead, where Big Daddy was leading hordes around this island, and there was a survivor living on a boat who would have to come into the island every now and then to get supplies and stuff. But the zombies, like Bub, was starting to like teach, or not Bub, but Big Daddy was starting to teach and assemble the other zombies. I don't know. It was what it was, but But yeah. I mean, the Queens of the Dead thing. Like I said, I don't want to get into it last week because I don't know.
I hear a title like that, and I think of that awful sequel that Zack Snyder made with the Vegas.
Oh, Army of the Dead.
That movie was so bad.
Well, from what I hear, just from hearsay, I haven't read anything about it really. I don't know for sure, but I'm apparently it's going to be centered around drag queens fighting off zombies in like a strip club or something. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I did see
interesting.
Well, I did see a movie with, was it Robert Englund?
Oh, are you? There was zombie strippers.
Yeah.
Jenna Jameson, I think, was in
Jameson. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's kind of what I think of when I hear that. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Just so I think drag queen stripper. I don't know.
It doesn't sound like it's going to be so wonderful, but.
And like I was saying, like the Twilight of the Dead, I mean, it had Brad Anderson, who had a track record and has made good stuff in the past. If he was going to direct it, I mean, it had some hope. I didn't have high hopes for it either, kind of like Savini. But something like this, Queens of the Damned, when it's just Tina Romero, and I said last week that Tina had never been a filmmaker before, has never made a film before. But she actually has done 2 short films in the late 2000s. I've never seen either one of them. So she has made some short films, but it's like, I don't know. Did you ever see the Staunton Hill, the movie that George's son Cameron made?
I did not. No.
I remember seeing. I didn't. I couldn't get through it. It wasn't. I didn't like it at all. But I remember seeing it. I rented it at. It was like Blockbuster or something back in the day when that was still a thing. And it was on. There was like George Romero. He had a quote on it where George was like, "Now this is real horror." And I was like, "Holy shit!" And it's his son. Like, oh man. I was thinking it would be the next, Brandon Cronenberg or something like that. But no, no. So yeah, I'm just not a fan of. People that aren't, I don't know, filmmakers. And then that sounds pretentious, but I mean, nobody's a filmmaker until they actually make a film. I mean, maybe she's good at it. Who knows? Right. But it just feels like one of those like nepotism type of things that's just kind of like, and Tina, by all accounts, from all interviews and all footage, anything I've ever seen of Tina, she seems like the nicest, coolest person in the world. But I mean, if we're just talking about entertainment here, we're talking about movies, for God's sake, like it's just, I don't have any hope for it if it does happen.
I mean, you can have the talent in the family, like if you know George Cosmatos did all those action movies in the 80s, and then his son Panos did some crazy stuff like Mandy and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean,
is better than his
stuff.
dad.
Like I said, Brandon Cronenberg is a good example. Like I love David Cronenberg. His son Brandon, I think, is one of the better like horror sci-fi filmmakers here recently. Have you seen Possessor or Infinity Pool yet?
No.
I would recommend checking them out. I like Possessor better than I like Infinity Pool.
I mean,
but
I'm a huge David Cronenberg fan, so the bar's already set pretty high. So
yeah, it's different. It's definitely, you can definitely tell like he was his dad's David Cronenberg, and not in like a hokey kind of way either. Not even just kind of like he's doing what his dad did, but he's kind of doing.
He's doing his own thing.
He's doing his own version of what kind of his dad did. So I highly recommend it. I like Possessor better than Infinity Pool, but both are definitely worth checking out. There's definitely memorable. There's shit that you will not forget in those movies. That's cool. For sure. But yeah, Queens of the Dead. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Do you want to try something real quick? I have a breakdown of the parts that made the opening stinger in Dawn of the Dead. If it will play through the share. Do you think that will work? The present. Have you tried that before? Playing audio through present.
I don't think so.
I can try it real quick. Let's just see. Let me just get this up.
Rob says, oh my God, I would have loved Big Daddy Part 2 as long as Eugene Clark plays sax. Oh, I mean, it's a hit immediately if they have Eugene Clark's music involved. I mean, of course. Have you heard about Chris Stuckman's independent movie show? Because I don't know who Chris Stuckman is, so I don't.
He's a movie reviewer turned filmmaker, and because he became a filmmaker,
well, that always works out.
his movie reviews are much gentler, as you would imagine. He doesn't want to burn any.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah, I've heard. Okay, I just didn't know the fucking name was, but I've heard people talk about that before. And so basically, since he's started making movies, he's kind of afraid of people shitting on his movie, so he's trying to be nice to everybody else's.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be both. You can't be a critic and a filmmaker. Like some people do, some people teach, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it doesn't. That doesn't.
just that,
work.
I
I know
mean,
people want to try it, but you end up having
you can't be honest
conflict
if
of
you got.
interest.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be honest about shit if you're a part of that world. Like it's and you're trying to get ahead in that world, I guess. Like there's no. I mean, you should be able to. You should be able to just be completely honest and still, if your work is quality and worth seeing, like it should still get ahead. But I think maybe that just, I haven't seen this independent movie, Shelby Oaks. That's my sister's name, Shelby. So that's cool, I guess. But, it makes me kind of question whether or not it's even worth checking out. But
let me see if I can present this real quick and see if it actually works. I can't remember if this works properly or not. Window.
So what are we looking at here?
This is a breakdown.
Oh shit! Okay.
There's a breakdown of how they made the opening.
Something just popped up on my screen down here, and I didn't know what had happened. I was like, I've been hacked.
No, it's waveforms.
Okay.
The waveforms there.
Yeah, gotcha.
So this is just a poor man's analysis of opening stinger in the theatrical Dawn of the Dead. So, can you share that?
Let me see if I can.
Okay, cool. Now
Here we go.
See if you can hear it. I'll play part of it. Tell me if this actually plays.
Okay.
It's playing them all at once. Hold on a second. That's not good.
Well, I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear anything?
Wasn't hearing it.
Maybe it can't present. Okay, maybe it presents only for visuals then.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I should be able to. Played it.
Any other setting that is it just
Hang
present,
on.
right? Nothing.
Yeah.
I thought it would actually let me do that, but maybe it won't. Well, that's too bad. What I can do, because I unfortunately don't have it loaded on something I can play over the headphone jack that would go where this groove box is going. So I can't play it over the stream from my other device, like a phone or something. What I can do is I can just do a quick little video, and I'll send you a link later, and people can check it out.
Okay.
It's just basically, it's the opening.
I thought there was a way that you could. I don't know. I haven't really played with that before.
Yeah,
but
it's just, in a nutshell, it's just the opening stinger.
Which is incredible, by the way. We should talk about that for a second here. Is just George's ability to edit that music together for that opening like that, because the original Cans cut or whatever, it just kind of opens.
It's just the library music, yeah.
Right. But just the way George meshes all that into one thing, it's pretty incredible. Damn,
so he basically took. It's funny because I think he got some other Goblin cuts that weren't even on the 20th anniversary release of Dawn of the Dead.
See, I've always wondered that too. Like, I've always heard shit that I've never heard, like, on any of the soundtracks or anything like that they released. But I don't know if it. But see, the thing is, I don't know if George just took that music and either just slowed it down or speeded up, because that's what he did with the Martin soundtrack. When Rubinstein first gave him those tracks, he would speed it up or slow it down to fit the mood of the music.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because the fourth sound I was going to play you is the very end of the motorcycle chasing in the European cut. The movie called the track is called Shriek in English, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rock and roll.
Yeah, it's like Zaratozum or something like that.
It's a strange name, yeah. So at the very end of that, there's a very clean guitar by itself. And I think what he did is possibly slow that down, layer that with. There's a track called. Let me read it here because it's got a funny name as well.
I've never heard this.
there's a vocal on the Edge of Madness, Al Margine della Folia, something like that. They call it Edge of Madness track. There's an alternate cut on the 20th anniversary, and it has that exact zombie kind of effect, which is them running their voices through like a flanger and some other effects. It's really clever the way they did that. And then there's another piece, which is the Mellotron Choir, which is the alternate cut of the opening Morti Viventi track, which is just a that's
yeah.
And he took that, and then the music bed of Cosmogony Part 1, and made the opening stinger. So
it's pretty insane.
What's so cool that we can?
But it's like I feel like
he made it to used to make it. But although the zombie vocal has some other shit in the background, there's modular synth, whatever he's playing with, which isn't clean. So he must have had clean, isolated tracks of all those sounds, and he was able to layer them. So.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Just George's use of fucking sounds like that.
That's the thing. He needs more credit.
And this was like pre-computer and shit too. Like,
he's got all those reels. Even when he's doing the edits, he has like all these film reels, and he's got some audio reels, and it's just like Jesus Christ. Keep all this straight.
God Almighty.
That video that Lawrence put up of him with the actor from Diary of the Dead, who's a director now. Did you see that clip that Lawrence put up of that show? He wanted to meet with George and show how filmmaking was done in the 16mm days. If you haven't seen that,
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's very good, and they even have a panel interview at one point with Russo and Striner talking about Night. And it's really, really good. But George actually, they tried to shoot Expostulations, which is a missing movie of George's no one's ever seen. And so George,
I've seen part of it.
Yeah,
like the whole thing.
Memory is trying to reshoot it with this guy.
Really?
In the process to do through film. At some point, they go, you know what? This is too much. Let's go to digital. So they took all the film they shot and edited in digital. So it's cool.
That's pretty fun. I don't know if I've ever seen that, but I have seen a bit of Expostulations. I was talking to Chris DeRockis about this at LDW, because they're still trying to restore it, and they have like they have a piece of it, because I guess it was supposed to be a bunch of different stories, but they have one aspect of it. It's called, I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but they played it at University of Pittsburgh .com or something like that a couple of years ago.
Where he's got something in his eye, is that the one?
No, it's got like an overdub narration from Terry Alexander from Day of the Dead.
And one scene is one with an eye where the guy's like sitting there with Visine, and he's got something in his eye. So he's looking up for a while, and he's like trying to do this, and people start seeing him, and there's that copy behavior where the crowd starts building, start looking up in the sky where they don't see the Visine part. They just think he's looking at something in the sky. And pretty soon he figures out, oh, my eye's okay now, and he walks away. And they're still up looking up in the sky. That was one of his shorts.
Nathan's saying you're a little tough to hear, so I'm going to turn you up a little bit here.
Oh, is it too low? Sorry.
I turned you up a little bit on my end if you want to turn it up. But yeah, I saw that when University of Pittsburgh or something, they did like a live, like a stream viewing of that, and it was like a one and only thing.
Watch that video, because he tries to remember what he shot, and he's explaining some of the scenes, and he just.
And what year was this?
The video was from 2015, I think.
Wow, it's crazy to think that he would even remember
2018, right? Didn't he die 2018?
2017.
17. Okay.
Yeah, we're almost this month. Today's the 1st. Yeah, this month will be 7 years. 7 years now. It's crazy.
So it's fun because it shows him directing these guys with a 16mm camera, recreating these scenes, and then the guy keeps complaining, "You had to do all this stuff? What the hell? How did you get through all this?" And Romero's like, I love the film bag anymore, because you used to have to change the film in a film bag so you don't expose it.
Yeah.
And now they have these mags that are quick insert. You only lose like a tiny bit of the film, and so they have this fun interchange where he's like, "Wow, the technology has changed," and he's like, "I hate this technology." And so,
Yeah, I love watching the old footage of George editing on that editing bay, just cutting and fucking, splicing and all this other shit. And it's just like fucking machine. Like he's just going, going, going. It's just like, wow. And it's so funny because I'm so used to like editing digitally, editing on a computer. And it's like I would have no idea how to edit that way, the way they did back in the day. But George would probably look at, a lot of modern editing stuff and was just like, it's not the same. It's just, I don't get it. I don't want to get it,
So I purposely took that Super 8 class in high school at the junior college because I wanted to experience, I started doing fairly
You wanted to work with actual
editing,
film,
and just see the process and learn it. It's just Super 8 has no sound, so you don't have to worry about that track. And use this little thing with the cranks, this little minette and little viewer, and you sit there and you try to time it. And then you get your splice block out and you use your tapes, and it sucked. I mean, it was fun to try it and learn it, but I never wanted to do it again.
Yeah. Robert said, very disappointed to hear Twilight of the Dead is going to be made. Love Romero zombie movies, and he can't make any more, so it'd be cool to see at least a bit of his work continue. I mean, if it's done right, I just don't want some cheap shit to be just like Festival of the Living Dead or whatever that was on. Holy shit! Like I never want to see anything like that ever again.
That's a dumpster fire. Yeah,
it's horrendous shit, and just to associate it with the Romero universe or whatever, it's just like, god damn, let it die. Like just leave it be, unless you can do it properly. If you can, if Edgar Wright wants to continue Romero's, zombie universe, I'm all for it. If Tom Savini wants to, I mean, I don't know about what, Tom's capabilities are these days, but you know what I'm saying? Like a Guillermo del Toro or something like that. Like, hell yeah, like give me that. But I don't want fucking,
I mean, Festival is, I don't know if they went to film school or not. Maybe they did, but it doesn't matter. No matter what they did, the product is so bad compared to what they tried to make it into.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it was a film school project or someone who went to film school. You either have taste or you don't. And it's just, it's like
everything now
movie.
It's
made
so,
for tweeners.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's a formula that everybody, that's the thing now. It's there's a formula, there's a thing, and everybody just follows the same thing. They do the same thing. It's like, very rarely do you see anybody kind of step out of that formula when it comes to like low budget movies like that. I don't know. I just don't see a whole lot of, for good or bad, like 70s and 80s, like films that you can tell were just made, with little money, but a lot of, imagination and creativity and shit like that. It's, I don't know. It's a very formulaic thing these days.
Speaking of audio, do you want to hear a couple of fun voices through this silly box?
Sure. Well, I mean, can you sound... Stugas says you have a voice like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Can you do a Schwarzenegger sound? Jesus Christ. Yeah, isn't that the movie, Rob? The Edward Furlong and Forest Hills with Shelley Duvall. That's the one that Grim Life Collective was a part of. I don't know if they directed it or what it was, but I know they were a part of it because they actually got that interview with Shelley Duvall where she's just sitting in her van. And that was a little awkward. I guess she didn't want to get out of the van, but
this is more of a sci-fi sound. The robot is losing power.
You just do that for a whole stream. How many hours of your life per day do you just sit there and just go through all these voices just to entertain yourself? Because that's what I would be doing.
I did, but not anymore.
So. 10-4.
Then you have a drone sound like a Cylon warrior.
It's kind of nice. Except for that fucking feedback there.
Yeah, I have it too loud. This is called Flutter.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to cough.
Yeah.
It sounds like you got a bunch of phlegm.
Speaking of Beatles, this is the Beatles. I Am Walrus. You are me, I Am Walrus.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. All right, enough of the voices. It's a little off-putting. It's like you were attacking me with your voice for a second there.
I have to find one more that's quite funny. So.
Okay.
Actually, two more. This is a fun one. It's Gregorian chant.
Oh, I love Gregorian chants. It still sounds like a robotic Gregorian chant a little bit.
It's a plugin.
All right, give me one more. And I think we're gonna call it a night. Monday.
Okay,
I gotta
sexy.
get to work tomorrow.
Hi, sexy. How you doing?
I don't know if that is that supposed to be a woman or
Kind
or a
of,
dwarf.
yeah. Well, yeah, you have to come in with a certain voice to treat it properly. So I might be going too low. You have to go a little bit higher. Like, hello.
That's not bad. That's not bad. You're starting to. You're
I've
you're
actually
starting to
fooled
sound
people with
kind of.
this. I've done prank calls with this, and they went, "Who are you?"
Well, see, now that kind of sounds more like a little boy or something. Now I feel weird saying that it was.
Well, it depends how you approach it. If I talk a little bit higher, versus a little bit lower, you get different.
Yeah, you go a little lower, then it starts getting into like 8-year-old boy territory. it's a little uncomfortable. Hello.
Can be weird, yeah. I'm trying to find the one.
And you're.
Yeah, I was trying to find the one. There's an opera singing one where it turns you into an instant diva opera singer, like you're doing some Wagner or something. It sounds really cool, but I can't find it. So there's too many presets.
Yeah, Grim Life Collective. I found them out a little while back. The Shelley Duvall interview. Have you seen that?
Which one?
There's a channel on YouTube called Grim Life Collective.
Oh, I've seen their stuff. Yeah, is there a Shelley Duvall thing on there?
They interview Shelley Duvall, and she doesn't get out of her van. She gets interviewed in her van, and she's just, you can tell the van is like a hoarder's van. Like there's all kinds of
chain smoking and stuff. Yeah.
I don't remember. It's pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her, and I know everybody's like, oh, yeah. A lot of people try to blame like Stanley Kubrick or whatever for it, but
yeah. There's a great picture somebody posted recently of her with Danny on the set of The Shining, smoking.
Oh, really?
And she's just sitting there with her pose.
Danny smoking with her?
And Danny's just sitting there like, but she's like at this pose, like she's smoking with her cigarette like this.
She was an actress, big time Hollywood actress.
Exactly.
Yeah, Nathan. She's in pretty bad shape, sadly. Stukas,
I know she wrote children's books.
See you next time, man. Have a good 4th of July rest of the week, man.
Nice.
Get you some sleep off whatever you've ingested tonight. It's always fun having you in here, man. I appreciate you stopping by. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. Hop off here. I don't think I can do another 4 hours a night on a Monday night. I got to go to work in the morning, but it's been fun, man. I don't even think I got through all the questions. Last question, by the way, 10 question, best concert experience. Go.
That is a tough one. One of my first concerts, because I kind of came late to concerts, unfortunately, just because of, the friends I hung out with and my parents not really being into my kind of music at the time.
Right.
So I kind of basically had to, they're expensive. You go to some kind of crazy areas. So you couldn't just go. I'm not living in the big city. I'm living in the suburbs. So my first concert I really remember was, watching U2 and Peter Gabriel and Amnesty International concert in the 80s. It was really, really cool. Because the two bands I liked at the time a lot, and just to see them live and to hear the sound, and there's some other cool stuff there too. But it's not my favorite, but it's just a really good memory because it was my first really intense concert, experience. But like I saw Radiohead at the Greek Theater in Berkeley one time. It was an amazing show. Those guys are crazy talented.
I bet that would be really good. Like I'm not the biggest Radiohead fan, but I would believe that seeing them live would be.
Well, the fog rolled in and kind of enveloped the stage and the lights, and they were shrouded in fog, and it just was this magical. Because they're playing some weird shit, and the guys are changing off. There's like 2 drum kits on stage. They're changing off instruments. They're all multi-instrumentalists, even the singer. And it's like, this is crazy, right? I mean, I can't believe what I was seeing. So that was a really good show. But I've been to a Jean-Michel Jarre concert. Was really good. I've been to a Tool concert that was amazing. So
I'd love to see Tool.
It's so hard to pick. It's like your favorite movie, It's
you know what my first concert experience was?
What's that?
The Scorpions.
Oh.
Dio. Deep Purple.
Wow.
So
Ronnie was singing for both at the time? The Dio and Deep Purple?
No, just Dio.
Just Dio.
Deep Purple, I think the only original member in Dio that played that night was like the keyboard player, maybe.
Wow.
Or maybe guitar. I can't remember who the hell it was, but I didn't think Richie
Blackmore.
Yeah, he wasn't even a part of the group at that time. Wow. But I was 13 at the time. I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome.
That's cool.
But appreciate it, man. I appreciate you hopping on. Everybody check out Synth Addict on YouTube. I mean, you actually have at Synth Addict, no numbers or anything. It's pretty.
It's unique enough. I got that one, but Micro Addict, I had to add a 1 to it, unfortunately. So
okay. And yeah, like I'll put all the links to anything that Synth's got going on right now. Put it down in the description box below. You can check it out. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, like his vids. Subscribe to this channel if you're watching for the first time. Like this, it helps the algorithm or something. I don't know. Maybe that's something you're more in tune with. I don't know what that means. But I guess the more thumbs up something has, the more it's seen. I guess.
Even thumbs down is interaction. So even if people didn't like it, it helps.
Although there's always like. I'll see 1 or 2 on my video, like when I'm looking, and I see like 1 thumbs down, and I'm like, "Why? What did I do wrong? Like, what? Like, who did I piss off? What did I say? What did I do?" And it's just like
do that just to be difficult, They're like trolling.
Yeah. Well, I just assume they're just like, this is not for me, and they hit a fucking thumbs down and move on, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Like, some people they're just like, who the fuck is this guy talking about George Romero on every stream? Everything he does is George Romero. This guy's got to be out of his mind, and they're right. But that's
the channel is called Alpha Romero, so
it
surprised by that.
Kind of give it away,
Yeah.
Although when you look my name up on YouTube, the fucking cars pop up. Alfa Romeo cars pop up. So
it's hard to. The first time I tried to find you manually, I'm like, God damn this!
I know I fucked up. I thought the name Alfa Romero was cool because of the car. Like every time I saw the car name, that's all I could think of was Alfa Romero, and I was just like, oh, I'll just make my YouTube channel that name because that's a funny name. And now like trying to get people, it's like, oh, I'm Alfa Romero on YouTube. It's like, really? All I see is cars. Like, what is this? I'm like, shit. All right. So my goal now is I got to get the channel's got to get bigger than the car. So that's my only way out.
For sure.
But glad everybody in the chat. Glad to see everybody. Rob Lucas, good to see you, man. Nathan saying Dio rules. I mean, that blew me away. That's probably my favorite act of the whole concert. Soundgarden. That would be a hell of a first concert.
I'd say for anyone who's curious about all the weird gear in here, especially the stuff you can't see, or if you're into the stuff at all, I have a tour video I uploaded to a thing called Clownfest in the UK that I can link to you if you want to see all the shit in this room. So
okay, yeah, like I said, I'll put all that. Send me like links and stuff. I'll put it down in the description box, and we'll go from there. But
don't want to see it now. It'd be a tour. It'd be kind of boring for people to go, I don't even know what this shit is. So.
But also on his channel, check out, I mean, all the coverage and stuff that you did for Living Dead Weekend. We really didn't talk about your first trip to Living Dead Weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I'll come on anytime you want. We could talk about more stuff for sure. So
yeah, man, we'll definitely have you back on sooner rather than later. Anytime you want, man, just let me know.
I still have hours of videos to upload. I'm so behind. It's just
Oh, I imagine, man. You were
Yeah.
anytime I saw you that weekend, you had your camera, you
recording.
you were fucking going. I was like, damn, this dude. Because when I go to something like that, even though I got a channel and shit, like I'll think like, oh, maybe I should record something or do something. But I get so wrapped up in the shit that I'm just like I forget to. So I'm glad that you did and you captured a lot of that stuff. And
it's a different thing too,
because
you're going for the autographs and you're going for the photographs and stuff like that. And since I'm not doing that, I had more time to go just do other things. So,
right. Yeah. And plus I'm just one of those people. It's just like I was like you at one point, like back in high school, like I always had a video camera in my hand. I was fucking filming everything. And then there was like that period there where everybody got sick and tired of my shit. And they were just like at one point, so they stole the camera and was just like fucking hid it somewhere. And I was just like, where's my camera? So I guess I've just become sensitive over the years of not filming people too much. But now everybody does. So it's not,
I used to storm into my parents' bedroom in the morning when they're still in like their morning clothes. So embarrassing. And the hair's all messed up. They said, get out of here. I said, come on, this is good footage.
We'll look back on this one at some point and think very fond thoughts of it. And that always happens. And that's why I'm always like, man, I should, film more, record more, because I go back and look at the shit 5, 10 years later. And I'm just like, man, I wish I had more of this to go back and watch,
Exactly. Yeah. That's a lot of reason why I do it and it's YouTube, because not only can I share it and there's funny chat comments that I like to read, people read mail chat comments, but I don't have a memory on the phone to record everything to the phone.
Right, yeah.
So streaming is great until at Limited Weekend where there's a lot of signal problems. I had to record them locally, which is why I had to upload all.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Monroeville Mall, folks. Their Wi-Fi signal, or not Wi-Fi, but cell signal in there is not.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty. But all right, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome, man.
More questions, always good.
But appreciate everybody in the chat tonight watching along. I'll be back next weekend. I'm going to have Paul Farver on. We're going to have a collector's episode. He's going to show off a bunch of his shit. Big time Don collector. And he's got a lot of really interesting, like off the wall shit that, that you'd really have to look for to track down. So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to having him on next weekend. But appreciate everybody in the chat. Everybody watching at home. Make sure like the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay scared. Good night, everybody.
Bye, buddy.